ESPN Player, your home for more than 5,000 live college games. NCAA football, including the College Bowls and Playoff. NCAA basketball, including March Madness. All the great action you'd expect from ESPN. Plus your favorite ESPN studio shows with SEC Network, ESPNU, and Longhorn Network TV channels available 24/7. Hours and hours of live sport available at your fingertips. Watch the games you love anytime, anywhere on ESPNPlayer.com.
And welcome to Memorial Stadium, Terre Haute, Indiana, as we open up Valley Play here on a Thursday night. It's Valley football on ESPN, where tonight the Indiana State Sycamores here at Memorial Stadium will play host to the 21st ranked Northern Iowa Panthers. Hello, everyone. Along with Dana Hughes, Scott Warman, Kelly Burke is alongside as well. Excited to open up the season on a Thursday night. And when you think about Valley Play, it's not a matter of who's going to make it to the playoffs, but how many are going to make it to the playoffs.
Well, we've become accustomed in so many years to seeing a lot of teams in this team really step up. The cream always rises to the top at the end, but a lot of special football has gone out through the Missouri Valley Football Conference year after year. Don't expect anything different this year.
All right, let's get to a couple of key players in tonight's game. And I mentioned Keys because DeQuan Keys is a key player for Indiana State, one of the top running backs in the country.
Well, he's been the key to success, no pun intended, but he's done an outstanding job this season. 416 yards rushing. Amazing game against Eastern Illinois last week with 234 yards rushing. They need him to have a big day.
All right, for Northern Iowa, Eli Dunn will get his third start of the season. Of course, Eli and the Northern Iowa Panthers coming off a big game and a big victory last weekend.
Absolutely. They really got it back on the right track, but Eli has been either Eli or we're going to call him Mr. Get It Done or Mr. Dunn, whatever you may say, but he has done a nice job at the helm, but they've had a little bit of juggling between he and Howell at that quarterback position. It'll be interesting to see how things unfold today.
Should be a good one here tonight in Terre Haute as we open up Valley football play here in Indiana. It's the Indiana State Sycamores and the 21st ranked Northern Iowa Panthers. Starting lineups and opening kick is headed your way next. Founded in 1985, the Missouri Valley Football Conference has established a tradition of FCS football excellence. Competing at the highest level of NCAA Division I, student athletes at its 10 institutions demonstrate character, passion, and integrity as they grow as a student, an athlete, and a citizen. The Missouri Valley Football Conference, where leaders are shaped and champions are forged.
UNI has a rich history of cultivating exceptional teachers and educators.
Elevating Educators is an athletics initiative in partnership with the university
that seeks to honor and elevate professional educators throughout Iowa, the United States, and the world.
All educators deserve to be recognized and celebrated. Go to our website or follow UNI Athletics on social media to find out how the university and Panther Athletics are working to spread the message about the importance of educators everywhere.
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
Nobody burned down your she shed, Cheryl.
Well, my she shed's on fire.
Your she shed was struck by lightning.
Zachary, is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
You hear that, Victor? I'm getting a new she shear she shed.
She shear?
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful news.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
Blue is 100+ majors, from education to aviation. An honors program that takes you around the world and leads to innovative research and Fulbright scholars. Blue is top 5 in the nation for community service 5 years in a row. Blue is students from all 50 states and 70 countries. Blue is 150 years, 100,000 alumni, one strong Sycamore community. Blue is Indiana State University. There's more to Blue.
The Missouri Valley Football Conference Game of the Week is a production of State Farm Insurance. There for you when things go wrong, but also here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. And tonight's game is also brought to you by On the Run. the official convenience store of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Dan and Hughes, Scott Warman with you at Memorial Stadium. Just a picture-perfect evening as we open up Valley football play here in Terre Haute between the Sycamores and the Northern Iowa Panthers. And let's go to the sidelines for the first time and check in with Kelly Burke.
Scott, this is Northern Iowa's first Thursday night game since 2008, and unlike Indiana State, who's coming off a bye week, Panthers coach's biggest concern is the recovery of their players, what they've been eating, the sleep they're getting, and what plays they could get installed with 2 fewer days of practice. The team actually opted to wait and fly in this morning. They arrived about 11 a.m. local time, and head coach Mark Farley told his guys of the change in routine. If you allow it to affect you, it will. Northern Iowa looking to get off to a fast start. They've outscored Indiana State 139-22 in the last 3 meetings. Guys.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much. As the Sycamores will kick things off, there you see Mark Farley in his 18th season at the helm at Northern Iowa. The all-time winningest coach, already a Panther Hall of Famer. And in his second season, Kurt Mallory taking things over, and really has got some electricity on campus and in the area with this football team at 2-1 heading into tonight's game. And we are underway at Memorial Stadium. And a nice return for Northern Iowa out to their own 31-yard line, as that was Xavier Williams.
Number 9, Williams on return for the Panthers. He is up in number 32.
So Eli Dunn, as Danon pointed out in the open, will get the start at quarterback. And Danon, it has been kind of a two-headed monster, so to speak, for Northern Iowa early in non-conference play.
Well, Mark Farley is not hesitant in switching quarterbacks. He recognizes both are very talented, both bring a little bit different energy and effectiveness to this offense. So obviously the question marks around Eli Dunn is, can he be effective? 415 yards on the season passing, 5 touchdowns. He's done a nice job with ball security as well as he throws that first pass. Should have been caught, but he is the story for this offense. Can he command this offense down the field and get touchdowns instead of just settling for field goals?
Back to the air on second down, and an acrobatic catch by Deion McShane, but penalty flags after the catch. They might have actually lost a little bit of yardage on that screen pass.
I think they get bailed out here, as it seems that the defense was lined up offsides or in the neutral zone, and may give them a little bit of 5 yards there. These are the things you don't want if you are a Sycamore fan. You want this team, obviously they haven't fared well against this Panther program. While Mark Farley has been the head coach, they are just 2-12 against the Panthers. You don't want to open up the door and allow them to extend drives and get points on the board when you can possibly get them in the third and extra long.
Caleb Newman was flagged for the encroachment. Miller gets his first carry and stacked up right at the line of scrimmage. Nice surge on the front 7 for Indiana State as Enoki Uwalao gets the tackle.
That's a great job of penetration by Moala. Getting into the backfield, slants right past the tight end, Elias Nissen, for the tackle for loss.
Shane in motion. Dunn with the pressure and behind McShane, and he cannot come up with the reception. The newcomer of the week in the Missouri Valley Conference, 12 receptions for 162 yards this season, 7 for 117 last week in the victory for Northern Iowa over Hampton.
Well, they targeted him twice in these series of downs, trying to get their playmaker the ball as quickly as possible. Would have gotten the first down there if they could connect on the throw and catch, but forces fourth down. A nice win for the Sycamores thus far.
And the punt is made. It is a short kick. It'll take a UNI bounce, and it will be inside the 20. In fact, the Panthers will have it at the 19-yard line. That's where they will down it, as Indiana State will take over on their first offensive possession. By the way, that was Zach Kibbe actually doing the punting chores, their normal punter. Michael Kuntz has been injured this week, and so Kibbe is kind of pressed into duties as an emergency punter.
Well, normally a defensive back, but just like in any sport, the more you can do, the more versatile you can be. You can be effective and helpful for your team.
Ryan Boyle will get the start at quarterback tonight for Indiana State. It's kind of been a two-headed monster for them. More on that in a minute as he goes upstairs on first down and makes the connection to Dante Hendricks for a first down.
Excellent route by Hendricks. Creates great separation against Xavier Williams. Williams actually stumbles and falls. A nice throw by Boyle on the outside and getting yards after the catch for another first down. Great job on execution on that first down play.
And a timeout is called by Indiana State. Their first charge timeout on just their second play. Just a 30-second timeout. Why the timeout there, you think?
Well, a little bit of miscommunication. Want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Normally you come into these types of games where you are scripting your first 10 plays, at least 15 plays, and just a little miscommunication there forcing the first timeout.
Take a break, just underway at Memorial Stadium. It's the Sycamores and the Panthers. Valley football on E. Indiana State getting set for their second play out of the timeout. We take a look at Danon, tonight's Impact Players, brought to you by On the Run, the official convenience store of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. On the Run has everything you need in one convenient stop.
Well, two guys we're going to say a lot this evening. Ryan Boyle, the Iowa transfer, has really shown himself to be a great leader quickly for this Sycamore program. And Ricky Neal Jr. last year, sack leader in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, expecting a big night from him. He is a playmaker on the defensive side.
Dante Hendricks with another catch. And I'm going to tell you right now, Danon, as a former wide receiver, you appreciate that catch. That was right in the sun.
Yes. And that's a factor that not many people recognize. The dimensions of the field, where the sun is at different parts of the game, can affect easy throwing catches. But what we're seeing thus far is Indiana State taking advantage of the soft coverage by the Panthers.
And now they go to the ground game with Keys. We mentioned at the start of this possession for the Indiana State Sycamores, Ryan Boyle, a junior from Urbandale, Iowa. He was an Iowa transfer, actually spent a few years with the program up in Iowa, and now starting quarterback. It's kind of been a two-headed monster, but we'll see mostly Ryan Boyle and no Jalil Kirkpatrick here tonight.
Well, Jalil Kirkpatrick has done a nice job. He's more of a running quarterback, and what we've seen thus far is exactly what Kurt Mallory has expected from Ryan Boyle, his ability to throw the ball. And we're seeing it with a little bit extra zip on the ball as well, which receivers really appreciate. That if I create separation, I need the ball in my hands as quickly as possible. And Ryan Boyle's doing it.
Keys gets the carry again on 3rd and 1 and trying to get that surge at the first down marker at the 39. And I'll tell you what, Dan, I think he fell about a yard shy of getting that first down as Corby Sander, among others, in on the stop for Northern Iowa.
Some big boys up front for the Panthers.
And on the quick snap, trying to catch Northern Iowa off guard, and they did not get the first down. How about Northern Iowa with the heads-up play there?
Outstanding job by the Panthers up front. As I mentioned, big bodies up front. Seth Thomas, Hezekiah Applegate, Bryce Douglas, who's done a phenomenal job with 5 tackles for losses on the season. But right here, tried to quick snap and almost get the Bush push, as we saw with USC years ago. Offensive linemen can't get enough generated power to push the quarterback Boyle forward. 4 downs and out.
Great job by that Northern Iowa front four. So the turnover on downs, second offensive possession for the Northern Iowa Panthers. And Dunn will hand it off to Allen. And Trevor Allen, the junior from Waukee, Iowa, will get a pickup of about 3 yards on that carry.
It's a nice job by Trevor Allen. He's really done a nice job with his opportunities this season. 137 yards, leads the team in rushing. Even though we talk so highly about Marcus Miller, Trevor Allen has been a great part of that 1-2 punch in the rushing game for the Panthers. should have been stopped in the backfield, stepped over a player to get some positive yards.
Ground game again. Allen with a huge hole into Indiana State territory and is finally wrapped up at the 39-yard line. Jamal Jones finally getting the stop for Indiana State.
Excellent job of blocking at the point of attack, the right side of the offensive line. Spencer Brown, that right tackle. Nick Ellis on that right side opens up a huge gap.
Now they'll swing it out, and the reception is made. Nice open field tackle made there by Cottrell Harris, as on the receiving end there for Northern Iowa was number 12, Nick Phillips.
This is a nice job. They're kind of manipulating this offense to run plays that look identical to the prior play that was successful. Initially, they ran Trevor Allen to the right side. They run the fake and throw the swing route to the left side, trying to keep the defense off kilter.
Now up top again, Dunn throws a strike very close with forward progress to the first down, but nice surge there by Rondell Green and company to maybe have the receiver fall just shy of the first down. It's going to be really close. And they are going to say he's about a yard shy of that first down marker, so it'll be 3rd and short now for UNI.
Very important for Briley Moore to get 1 yard past the sticks in that situation. It's still a time route, but you have to get the necessary yards to get the first down and not create this 3rd and short situation. Now they're going to measure.
It was interesting. They first set the ball just at the nose right on the 30-yard line, and then they actually moved it up because the first down marker is right at the 29.
I think this is the proper mark. I thought the other one was a little bit less genuine. In this situation, you can see him get right past that yardage. He actually catches the ball about the 28.
Because it's always the forward progress.
Exactly, and even though he got knocked back a couple of yards, it's a nice job by the officials correcting that spot.
Briley Moore, by the way, on the receiving end of that pass from Dunn. So on first down, back up top, and dangerous throw in and out of the hands of the intended receiver. Incomplete pass there for the Panthers, as it looked like it was Nick Fossey who was the intended receiver.
This is an excellent job of pressure by Chris Reed Jr., number 96. Does not fall for the run fake, gets right in the vision of Eli Dunn, forces an errant throw. Almost could have been intercepted there with a big jump, or a nice jump, I should say, by Dwayne Thompson the second.
Back to the ground game, and Allen is hit behind the line of scrimmage. No gain. Great read there by Chris Reed, the redshirt freshman from Bellwood, Indiana.
Excellent job, long, lanky. You can see how his long arms can help him in the passing game, but the instincts right now, 2 consecutive plays, not one time not falling for the fake, the other time going right after the ball carry. He must recognize something, a little bit of a tip that's helping him right there.
3rd and 10 for Northern Iowa. Here comes the blitz. Dunn hangs in, overthrows his intended receiver. Incomplete, as it was Elias Nissen that was the intended receiver for Northern Iowa.
That's a nice job by Eli Dunn, standing in the pocket, knowing he's going to get hit in the chops. And Cottrell Moss, we talked about him obviously being one of the impact players for this team, gets right up in his grill, forces 4th down.
Austin Ertham for the field goal here. This is 46 yards. His longest so far this season is 43. He's 1 for 2 from 40 to 49. Snap down, kick is up, and it is good. Ertham connects on his longest field goal of the season of 46 yards, and Northern Iowa strikes first here in the first quarter at Memorial Stadium in Terre Haute, Indiana. It's Valley Football on ESPN.
So you'll be here to help if I need you?
Kyle, I got you.
Okay. What about here?
Yep.
Here?
Yep.
Is that for us?
It sure is.
Gimme, gimme.
What about here?
Here too, Kyle.
And here's Sir Robert from State Farm.
If you invite me.
He said yes! Hosea! Let's battle!
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
NCAA Division I FCS football is a game of perseverance, integrity, passion, character, and sportsmanship. As he works to honor the game, every FCS student-athlete grows in his responsibilities as a student and as a member of his campus and community. Dedicated to personal growth and success in the classroom, the NCAA Division I FCS, every down, every day.
It's not about where you were born. It's not about your gender or the color of your skin, or whether you're rich, poor, or in the middle. No matter what you play, if you have the skill and drive to succeed in school and in sports, we'll provide the opportunity.
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
Nobody burned down your she shed, Cheryl.
Well, my she shed's on fire.
Your she shed was struck by lightning.
Zachary, is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
You hear that, Victor? I'm getting a new she shed.
She shear?
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful news.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
Mark Farley's Northern Iowa Panthers get on the board first here on the road as we open up Valley football play. Northern Iowa Panthers opening up on the road in Valley play as they have the 3-0 lead over Indiana State. Along with Dana Hughes, Kelly Burke, Scott Warman, and our entire Tupelo Raycom crew. Great to have you alongside our first telecast of 8 this season of Valley football on ESPN. A terrific one here tonight. Indiana State coming into tonight's game 2-1 in non-conference play, 1-2 for Northern Iowa. They're the 21st ranked team in the country, and Eartham puts a foot into it, and the return is made by Indiana State, and what great coverage and open field tackle on the kickoff squad, as that's Bryce Later, number 22.
Excellent job of coverage and discipline right there by Bryce. Did an outstanding job staying in his lane. A little trickeration tried with some misdirection. A fake reverse on that return did not fool the Panthers. So now, Scott, early in this game, we've seen the Sycamores go for it on fourth down and then subsequently give up a score and try a fake reverse. So Kurt Mallory not afraid, not approaching this game in a fearful manner.
Play action. Boyle steps up, feels the pressure, eludes the sack, and then throws it underneath and gets something out of nothing. How about that play by Ryan Boyle?
Ryan Boyle doing his Big Ben Roethlisberger imitation there, shaking off the pass rusher, getting enough on the ball. Really like this kid's moxie in the pocket. I like his leadership. And right there, keeping his head downfield, not freaking out in any sort. Get some positive yards.
Tynan Williams on the receiving end. Now back to Keys, and he barrels his way to a first down across the 30 down to the 31. Keys, a couple of weeks ago, Player of the Week in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. 234 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns against the Panthers of Eastern Illinois.
This Sycamore team is number 12 in the FCS in rushing offense. They lean heavily on Keys. Also has a complement with Christian Covington and Titus McCoy as well. We'll see some of them this evening.
Boyle being flushed out of the pocket again, and Neal will get him. And he is sacked back at the 20-yard line.
This looked like Ryan Boyle tried to do a little bit too much right here. As you see Ricky Neal Jr. coming in, just clips his ankle there, but I think his initial instinct to flush to the left would have gotten him out of that trouble. Now they're in a second and extra long situation.
Looked like that defensive line ran a double twist on that particular pass rush.
A lot of movement up front.
Absolutely. So Keys will get the carry on 2nd and long. Got a big hole, and he gets a first down and more. Finally wrapped up at the 44-yard line. 25-yard pickup for Jaquan Keys.
Outstanding job at the point of attack. Tate Levitt, the left tackle. Isaiah Edwards, the left guard. Watch the push up front. The pulling center, Wyatt Wozniak, opens the door and then get violent at contact to get that first down.
Now back up top, Boyle again feeling the heat, and he'll actually pick up a yard to the trees, 45-yard line.
That's the one thing about Ryan Boyle. So many people around this program recognizes his toughness. He's not going to slide. He's not going to take that baseball slide. He's going to try to deliver a blow to the defense. Not sure you like to have your quarterback do that very often, but that just shows his attitude to this game.
Boyle this time has a little more time, and he'll go underneath to Hendricks, and Hendricks will be stacked up right at midfield as Duncan Furch was there on the tackle.
Duncan Furch has been a big-time playmaker for this defense, a captain at that middle linebacker position.
Boyle, an interesting story, as we mentioned, a transfer from Iowa. In fact, he was a late transfer, picked up this summer by Coach Mallory, as Keys will get the carry on 3rd down, and he'll fall a couple of yards shy of the first down marker. And with Coach Mallory and his background in the Big Ten, as they were telling us, of course with Michigan, father of course with Indiana, that tie-in kind of got him into the Indiana State program because of the Big Ten background, and hence Boyle taking over the reins right now as it's a 4th and 2, and they're going to catch him off sides. Great hard count there by Ryan Boyle.
Gotta love the approach by the Sycamores. Nice job of execution. Everyone having to be on the same page. No movements. Another 4th down attempt.
Offside. Defense number 23. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
This time won by the Sycamores to extend this drive. I don't know about you, Scotty, but I think this seems like a little bit different energy, a little different attitude than we've seen many years. As you see at the bottom of the screen, safety A.J. Allen has 2 interceptions on the season. 3rd on the team in tackles. Just doesn't watch the ball there.
So on the first down, they'll go back to the ground game with Jaquan Keys, the senior from Hammond, Louisiana. And he'll pick up 4 yards on the first down carries, averaging 6.2 yards a carry so far heading into the game. In fact, that 200-plus yard performance against Eastern Illinois, that was the first time since 2013 that an Indiana State running back had over 200 yards in the game. That was from, remember, old Shakir Bell back in the day.
A little short stature running back that was tough as nails.
And Morgan is wrapped up out of bounds just short of the first down marker. Rontrez Morgan, the sophomore from Jacksonville, Florida.
This offense is playing with a different tempo, and give credit to Kurt Mallory and his staff implementing this type of tempo, this type of attitude just in his 2nd year at the helm.
Keys and penalty flags, as he looks like he might have picked up the first down, but again we had a penalty marker fly from the near sideline.
Looks like a little confusion as to whether it was offsides defense or a misalignment on the offensive side.
Aaron Adams is our referee.
Encroachment, offense number 4, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty remains 3rd down.
It's a tough break for the Sycamores. They move the ball back, creating 3rd and medium here.
Here comes the blitz, picked up. Boyle steps up, throws, almost intercepted, as it is an incomplete pass right there. Number 48, Chris Kolarvik, the outstanding redshirt freshman from Traverse City, Michigan.
Well, they're actually a little bit confusing with this defense. Almost another interception on the season. He has 1 thus far, but UNI came with a blitz but dropped off 6 different guys with only a 2-man route on the offensive side. So really no outlet for Boyle to complete that pass.
So Travis Reiner, who handles the punting chores, we see him for the first time this evening for ISU as he'll try to get this into a coffin corner, end over end kick. And nice play as it is saved, and it will go, nope, they're going to say he hit the goal line, and it is a touchback, but it was a terrific effort there by Indiana State. Northern Iowa football on their own 20. When we come back, they lead it by 3.
Imagine life without football. No Friday night lights, no pep rallies, no band. All that time invested to teach young men and women commitment and team spirit, gone. Football, where young men and women compete to be the best, where bands, cheerleaders, and countless others take part in the team experience. Celebrate the passion that only happens every fall. Join the game.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
Get in the way and disrupt the situation.
Get someone a cab.
Or walk them home safely.
We can change the language around rape.
We cannot be bystanders.
Taking action isn't always easy.
But
it's on us
to intervene.
Because we can.
Learn more and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
Nobody burned down your she shed, Cheryl.
Well, my she shed's on fire.
Your she shed was struck by lightning.
Zachary, is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
You hear that, Victor? I'm getting a new she shed.
She shear?
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful news.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
All right, let's get to tonight's Impact Players. They're brought to you by On the Run, the official convenience store of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. On the Run has everything you need in one convenient stop. Dana Hughes.
Well, Marcus Weimiller is a great part of the 1-2 punch for the UNI Panthers. Done an outstanding job, has 2 touchdowns on the season. Expect him to play a little bit of Wildcat quarterback as well, trying to create opportunities for him to get the ball. And Cottrell Moss, we've already talked about him thus far in this game. 25 tackles, one of the big-time vocal leaders for the Sycamore defense.
Done up top on first down. Nice reception and spun out of bounds for a first down for Northern Iowa. Nice reception there by Briley Moore.
Not bad coverage at all. Good throw and catch. Briley Moore picking it out of the air.
UNI with a 3-0 lead, but Indiana State outgaining UNI 86-39 yards in this first quarter of play. Done on play action, wide open, first down and more, as Moore is wrapped up at the UNI 48-yard line.
So a healthy mixture of run and pass, and just as much as you have to respect the running game, that brings those linebackers up. Can't create that void behind them for that type of play.
And now to the ground game. Weimiller will get into Indiana State territory, and he'll be wrapped up at the 47-yard line. Jonas Griffith, the leading tackler for Indiana State, was there for the stop.
2nd and 5.
5-yard pickup, 2nd and 5. Back to Weimiller again, and this time no yardage. Great open field tackle there by Cottrell Moss.
That's a nice job recognizing, shooting that gap. Getting around the waist of Weimiller right here. Gonna run that zone read, and there you see, just glancing right through. Find those open little gaps and take your chance to go after the running back. Not too bad a push up front by the offensive line. A nice play by Moss.
On 3rd and 2, Y. Miller. Nope, play action underneath. Moore gets the first down and more as he'll lower the boom and get inside the 30 down to the 29-yard line, get him 15 yards on the pickup, but we do have a penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage.
Number 86 Moore, tackled by number 26 Jones.
Ineligible downfield. Offense number 76. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot remains. 3rd down.
That's the right tackle, Spencer Brown. It looked like the pressure in the face of Eli Dunn forced this play to be extended just a bit. The timing factors you can see right downfield. 76 at the bottom of the screen, trying to get to the second level and block those linebackers. A little bit too aggressive. Negative play for the Panthers.
So now instead of a 3rd and 2.
Ruling on the field was the pass was caught behind the line of scrimmage. Therefore, no ineligible downfield. All the play is a first down.
So there's the explanation from Aaron Adams, the official, the referee for tonight's contest, as I said, the reception behind the line of scrimmage, setting up the screenplay.
Well, because that was a bootleg, naked boot by Eli Dunn, seemed like the ball was either the receiver, Briley Moore, was at the line of scrimmage or beyond, caught the ball. So you can be downfield, just like as if it was a screen or a bubble screen on the outside.
There's a little discussion going on here, and I'm going to tell you right now, they're 5 yards shy of where Moore was actually wrapped up, because he was wrapped up at the 29, not the 34, and I think they're trying to make that correction right now here, Danon.
And this is where you have to appreciate the officials. The game moves so quickly.
Right.
There has to be some communication amongst the officiating team to make sure they get things right. That's why I appreciate the replay in college football.
Absolutely.
How they handle it. It's about getting it right.
So 1st and 10 now for Northern Iowa, and they're going to run the Wildcat for the first time. That's Y. Miller, and he'll only pick up a couple at the 27 as Indiana State's defense does a nice job not fooled on the Wildcat play there, David.
Well, he's the single back in the backfield, no quarterback back there, and the ball direct snap. And what you're leaning on if you're the Panthers is your big bodies up front. Cal Twait, Jackson Scott Brown, Ezra Zerbeck, Nick Ellis, and Spencer Brown getting the push.
Oh, fumble by Dunn on 2nd down, and he'll just pounce on it, but that's going to be a loss of over 10 yards. Stephon Mays, the sophomore from Louisville, Kentucky, downs Dunn, and there's an injured Sycamore right where that fumble occurred at the 38-yard line of ISU.
Looks like it's Inoke Moala down trying to go after the fumble. May have gotten a stinger there. A little bit of a shoulder, neck type of deal that happens a lot on the football field. You just hope that it's not too serious as they tend to him on the field. But what a great play by the defense for the Sycamores.
Yeah, Moala is one of the top defensive linemen for the Sycamores heading into this 2018 season.
Well, he was a Michigan recruit with Mallory while he was there, and actually was a tight end in high school. And anytime you have an athletic big man, you can either put him at tight end or on the defensive side to create havoc, and he's really done a nice job. 11 tackles coming into this game.
And there you see he's favoring that right wrist or right arm as he's heading over to the Indiana State sideline.
You can see the ball is jarred loose, and then it's a mad scramble, and right there, looks like he tried to go in with his hand. Yeah. You're right, it might be his wrist.
We'll keep an eye on him here on the Sycamore sideline. That could be a big loss for Coach Mallory in this big game to open up conference play.
How about that play by Stephon Mays, number 98?
Quick. 3rd and 18. Dunn near sideline. Beautiful catch by McShane, but he just ran out of real estate well short of the first down, and that forces a 4th down situation for the Cats.
Rolling the dice on defense as McShane was wide open in the flat. If that ball's thrown a second earlier, he may be able to scamper down the sideline and get the first down. But because they bring pressure from the right side of the screen, that was normally the linebacker that would be responsible for that flat area. Very fortunate roll of the dice for the Sycamores.
Well, a 49-yard field goal attempt here, Dana. The first one was at 46 yards, which is a long for Eartham. And it has distance, no, just short of the crossbar. So the Northern Iowa Panthers come up empty-handed on that possession, and Indiana State will take over, still down by 3 with just 12 ticks left in this opening quarter of play.
That's a big win for the Sycamore defense. And even though the wind is not a factor this evening, it looked like that ball just kind of hit the wall and came straight down just short of the crossbar. As you can see right here, just drops right off the table. Good field position left for the Sycamores.
Looking at the American flag to our right, and doesn't look like we have much wind, didn't when we were down on the field earlier. Boyle taking over on first down, throws, almost intercepted. Sneaking in there was Roosevelt Lawrence of the Northern Iowa Panthers, looking for that second interception of the season.
Well, this Panther defense has really been opportunistic, taking advantage of Aaron Thro's 6 interceptions as a unit on the season. See good misdirection in the backfield, good protection again.
Keys on second down, bounces off a couple of tacklers, and finally stopped at the 39-yard line for a 7-yard pickup as time will wind down in this opening quarter of play at Memorial Stadium in Terre Haute, Indiana. It's the opener in Valley football play between the 21st ranked Northern Iowa Panthers and the Indiana State Sycamores. It's Valley football on ESPN. Northern Iowa up by a field goal as we get set for the second 15 minutes of play here at Memorial Stadium in Terre Haute, Indiana. Valley football on ESPN as the Sycamores and Panthers open up a Valley play here tonight in Terre Haute. Keys stacked up right at the line of scrimmage for no gain, as in on the stop was Chris Kolarvik, and he's a very interesting story. No one really wanted this guy and just got his opportunity with Northern Iowa, and he's taken advantage of it his freshman year.
Yeah, he's done a fine job thus far. Leads the team with 31 tackles coming into this game. Has an interception, a couple tackles for loss as well. We'd love to hear about those stories. Obviously, the coach, Mark Farley, is probably one of the best stories in how he was able to approach his career and the damage he did in these Panther uniforms.
And to punt is Travis Reiner. And this line drive kick is received at the 15-yard line. And boy, that's the second time by each squad that we've seen a terrific open field tackle. This time wrapped up by number 9, Peterson backyard. But we do have a penalty flag back right around the line of scrimmage.
Looks like there may be holding normally right around that area. It could be holding on the outside, especially where the flags were thrown. How about the running back Peterson getting down on the field? And you like to use Y. Miller in multiple ways to get him the ball. Good coverage.
Officials, as you can see, still trying to sort this out. Now we have a couple of flags here, so we might have multiple infractions here, Danon.
You can see middle of the screen, the replay. Look like there's a little bit of holding right there by number 91. Actually, a little bit extra action as well. Yeah. So that might be the source of one of the flags, if not both. If that's the case, then it's a matter of whether that was done before the ball was punted or after. If it was before, then it would be awarded the first down, Scott. If after, they'll just take it off the end of the run.
There are 2 fouls in the play. illegal formation, offense number 6, holding 91 receiving team. Those penalties will be offset, replay, 4th down.
Another unfortunate miscue for Kurt Mallory and his Sycamores there, as they're not able to capitalize on the mistake by the Panthers, and very fortunate for the Panthers. If they were able to have offsetting penalties, they'll punt this ball over.
Kurt Mallory, as we mentioned, in his second season, a rough season in his first year here in Terre Haute. In fact, the victory against Quincy to start the season had snapped a 14-game losing streak for ISU. So the offsetting penalties, and we'll do it again. Another line drive kick. Williams will take it, and again, great coverage by Indiana State, and Weimiller will be marked down at the UNI 10-yard line. But how about that coverage they didn't use?
A lot of white helmets around the ball. That's an attitude coverage right there. Recognize you don't want to allow the ball carrier to get loose, rally tackling. But look at all those white helmets staying in their lanes, cutting off every angle, initiated by Preston there again, who made that last tackle before the penalty. That's big time play right there. Go back to that previous punt with the penalty. I believe that's the second penalty against UNI in this game. They are one of the tops in the country.
To fix the change.
One of the tops in the country at playing clean football. Fewest penalties, fewest penalty yards coming into this game.
And right now, on their first possession in this second quarter with the 3-0 lead, they are backed up at their own 10-yard line. And off to Allen. Nice hole. Gets a first down and finally tripped up at the 24-yard line, as finally in on the stop was Denzel Bonner, the junior from Waynesboro, Mississippi.
Number 25, Allen on the carry for the Panthers.
Talk about this 1-2 punch for this offense. Trevor Allen looks a little bit more shifty than Marcus Weimiller. Good yardage after first contact.
Allen bounces outside. Does a nice job of getting to the outside and carrying the tackler with him as he gets to the 34-yard line. Give him 10 yards on the pickup and another UNI first down.
Well, just as I said, how shifty he is. Watch this cut right here. You can see it clear as day on the right side. Nothing in the middle. Then gets violent on the sideline with the stiff arm to get the extra yards after contact and another first down.
Trevor Allen now giving Northern Iowa some breathing room. Here comes the blitz on first down. It is picked up nicely, and a nice outlet pass to James, and James will get another first down as he's shoved out of bounds at the Cats 49. 14 yards on the pickup. Nice response by Northern Iowa's offense after they were pinned down after that great punt coverage by Indiana State, Dana.
Yeah, continuing to put their foot on the gas pedal, mixing up run and pass very well. Jalen Rima, the big-time, big play receiver for the Panthers, and another run up the gut. Looks like it might be a fumble at the end.
And it is a fumble. Turnover by UNI. Indiana State football.
Recovered by the defense. First down.
Wow.
Outstanding job by the Sycamores defense.
That is a huge turnover, Dana Hughes, because you could see Northern Iowa on this possession really had some rhythm going.
Yeah, they did. They were mixing up run and pass extremely well. And Jonas Griffith, number 46, seemed to be the guy that got his hands in there and was part of that turnover. Just like on any turnover or touchdown, they are going to review to see if the ball carrier was down.
There you see head coach Mark Farley talking it over with the linesman, and it is going to be a turnover after the review. So Indiana State, see if they can take advantage of our first turnover of the night. Boyle's going to go up top, and he throws a strike. Beautiful pass, beautiful catch by Dante Hendricks.
This is a deep crossing route by Hendricks. Really nice job buying time in the pocket by Ryan Boyle. Great protection up front. Nice little second base throw for a first down.
Hendricks with 53 yards receiving so far this evening. Keys. And Keys can just barely get back to the line of scrimmage. That's a terrific surge there by the front seven of Northern Iowa. Let's go down and check in with Kelly Burke.
Just an update, Scott, on Inoke Moala and his injury. It is indeed his right wrist. Trainers examined it and then have wrapped it currently in ice. And I heard their head trainer tell one of the defensive assistants that he is out for right now, at least for the rest of the half. And a lot of it will depend on if he gets strength back in that wrist. One other injury note, right now trainers working on Chris Reed Jr., the defensive lineman. It looks like it's his right ankle or foot area. We'll have another update on that as soon as we hear something.
All right, Kelly, thank you. Incomplete on that pass play for Indiana State, forces a 3rd and 10. Boyle steps up, throws, and it's just over the outstretched hands of the intended receiver, Dante Jones. 4th down, what do you do here?
So impressed. It looks like they are contemplating whether they're going to go for it on 4th down. If that's the case, Scott, you normally would see a run on 3rd down if they were in 4th down territory, but they take a shot downfield. It's a little bit too much zip by Boyle there over the head of the receiver. And how impressive has the Panthers defense been on 3rd down in this game? It seemed like multiple 3rd down and shorts, 3rd and medium, there and 3rd and long. They're able to get the stop and create 4.
Yeah, ISU 0 for 5 in their 3rd down conversions in this first half. And this kick will not be downed, and you and I, when we come back, will have a 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line. They lead it by a field goal with 11 and a half left in the first half.
Kicking team.
Welcome to the Missouri Valley Football Conference Extra Point. Conference play kicks off this week for all 10 teams, including Illinois State, North Dakota State, and South Dakota State, who will put their unbeaten records to the test. Longtime rivals North Dakota State and South Dakota State meet Saturday in the 15th annual Dakota Marker game. The Bison lead the all-time series 8-6, but the Jackrabbits have won the past 2 Dakota Marker games, including in Fargo 2 years ago. At stake, bragging rights and the 75-pound trophy. It's the 14th most played rivalry in the FCS ranks and arguably the fiercest at the moment in the league. While the Dakota Marker game was established in 2004, this Saturday's matchup marks the 108th meeting between the two schools. Make it 9 straight years of FBS upsets for the Valley. Illinois State notched their 2nd straight FBS win with a 35-19 dismantling of Colorado State. The win catapulted the Redbirds into the top 10 of the FCS rankings. Keeping it all in the family, for the 2nd straight week, a McShane brother took home conference honors. Last week, it was Western Illinois running back Steve McShane earning Special Teams Player of the Week. Saturday, younger brother and Northern Iowa freshman receiver Dion McShane had a breakout performance. Dion finished with 7 receptions for 117 yards and his first career touchdown to earn Newcomer of the Week accolades. You can catch all this week's conference openers on either ESPN Plus or ESPN3. All games available live or on replay. Now let's get you back to first half action between Northern Iowa and Indiana State.
Well, Dayton Hughes, as we open up Valley play, we take a look at the MVFC preseason poll. The #1 team in the country, the overwhelming favorite, but right behind them, the 3rd-ranked team in the country, South Dakota State, followed by the team we're seeing here tonight, Northern Iowa and Youngstown State. Of course, as Kelly just mentioned there in the break, the Dakota Marker game coming up this weekend. It will be a huge weekend. It's probably already started in the Dakotas.
How about that matchup and the dominance overall, obviously with the championships for North Dakota State, but over the last couple of years, the Jacks have had their number, gotten a couple of wins, a couple of close wins, but such a special rivalry, a great kind of picture of what Missouri Valley football is about.
Could even potentially be a prelude to a national championship game this year. Number 1 versus number 3, North and South Dakota State this weekend. We're in Terre Haute. Beautiful setup on the screenplay, and it's going to be a first down. Great effort there by Elias Nissen, the senior from Springville, Iowa, getting the first down after the reception.
Dunn's pass is complete to number 85.
The tight ends being used very well for both teams right now, trying to target the big boys on the outside. And so far in this game, UNI has really done a nice job. Eli Dunn getting it done.
Swinging it out to Allen. Allen does a nice job there. Still on his feet, gets a first down. My, oh my, he put some moves on in that play, Dana.
Well, how about going back? If you're Mark Farley in this UNI program,
He's got enough for a
Trevor Allen, I should say Miller really doing a nice job, and there's Trevor Allen right there. Fumbled the ball on the last drive, gets another opportunity quickly to get the ball. That's how much confidence they have in that young man.
Now Dunn goes up top, wide open. McShane, he's got it inside the 20 and wrapped up at the 15-yard line. 36-yard strike from Dunn to McShane.
We're going to hear that connection a lot this season. Deion McShane, newcomer of the week last week with a great game versus Hampton. I've seen him try to catch the ball out of the backfield, swing routes, whatever way they can get that playmaker the ball, they're doing it.
And now back to the ground and pickup of only a couple of yards stacked up there, as leading the way is Jonas Griffith on the carry by Miller.
Second down.
Almost getting the feeling that this Sycamore defense is getting a little winded. They've been on the field an extreme amount of time in this first half. Offense really can't sustain many long drives.
Dunn going to the end zone, and it is incomplete. Great coverage there by number 11, Caleb Newman. He's one of the terrific junior college transfers for Coach Mallory's team that has made an impact defensively early on this season.
Tries to go up top over Jalen James, just a fade route. Doesn't ever get a chance to look back at the ball, but reads the eyes and the body language of James. Perfectly timed to dislodge the ball, creating third down.
Here comes the blitz, under pressure, back to the end zone, overthrown, incomplete, as McShane was the intended receiver. Rex Mosley with the pressure for ISU.
He's trying to run a smash flag concept. That's where the outside receiver runs a hitch route, inside receiver runs a corner route. Does not fool the Sycamore secondary.
So Eartham 1 for 2 tonight in the field goal department. This one's his easiest at 30 yards. And he splits the uprights, and Northern Iowa adds to their lead with 8:52 remaining in the opening half here in Terre Haute. So an 8-play, 67-yard drive that took 2 minutes and 36 seconds. And the 30-yard field goal by Eartham has given Northern Iowa the 6-0 lead. The Cats, the 21st ranked team in the country, heading into their opener on the road in Valley play against the Indiana State Sycamores. And Eartham with a short kick. And the return to the 23-yard line as the tackle is made by Kendrick Sunkin. Well, there you see Kurt Mallory, second season here at Indiana State. Of course, everyone knows the family bloodlines. His father, Bill Mallory, did such a sensational job in 12 seasons as the head coach at Indiana in Bloomington, Dana.
Yes, Bill Mallory, obviously an outstanding career, and Kurt following his footsteps, and got a chance to play against both of them. While Coach Mallory was at Indiana.
Holding. Receiving team, number 10. 10-yard penalty, first down.
I think Kurt Mallory took a cheap shot at me. I'm still holding it against him. 20 years later, Michigan linebacker, him and Eric Anderson, a Butkus Award winner. No, he was a great player. Great matchups, fun matchups against the Wolverines back in those days.
So Indiana State backed up to their own 10-yard line, and for the first time we see this terrific freshman, Christian Covington, on the carry from Fort Wayne, Indiana, as he'll give the Sycamores a little bit of breathing room on this carry.
Well, great job. Watch the push up front. A hat on hat. No real big pancake blocks, but just bodies on bodies. And Covington, 143 yards on the season, 4 touchdowns. They really like this young man at that running back position.
Boyle on play action, feels the pressure. Whoa, gets out of it somehow, does a Houdini act, and now he'll carry it himself, lower the shoulder, and he's run out of bounds at the 30-yard line. How about that play? Let's go down and more on Coach Mallory with Kelly.
Dana, you were talking about Coach Mallory's dad, Bill, the legendary former Indiana coach, and he actually passed away earlier this year. But Bill's spirit lives on here in Memorial Stadium. If you look around, there's a new windscreen emblazoned with one of his favorite sayings, "Lock the gate." The money for it and other stadium improvements was part of Bill's wish to help Kurt build up the Indiana State program. Bill, of course, knew a thing or two about turning programs around after taking Indiana from an 0-11 season his first year to the winningest coach in IU history. Scott?
Number 31.
You're exactly right, Kelly. It was an amazing turnaround. When you think of Indiana, most people think of basketball. Obviously started with Bobby Knight, but Coach Mallory really did a sensational job during his tenure in bringing football to that campus in the entire state of Indiana.
And bringing quality individuals, but also professional prospects. Trent Green was a quarterback there during that time, and I believe they had a back of the year during that time in the late 80s, early 90s as well. So a lot of quality football changing the dynamics.
Offense number 68.
Right now, that's the 5th penalty on Indiana State. Right now, I think it's appropriate. You could say they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot right now, Dana.
Yeah, they are putting a lot of pressure on this defense. I think if you can sustain this drive, Scott, and give your defense a little bit more time to rest on the sideline, that'll be huge for them. And even though they're down 6 points, could be a lot worse. Almost more of a win situation if they go into halftime just down by 1 score.
Well, they have been able to move the ball at least a little bit on Northern Iowa. It's almost been a bend but don't break. There's a beautiful pass, and it is caught in a first down. How about that strike there?
Well, it all starts up front. This offensive line is different than what we've seen in past years. How they're protecting their quarterback, big bodies up front. We talked about it before the game. A lot of big bodies for the Panthers, and it seems like they're getting stopped cold at the line of scrimmage. Opens up that window. It's a nice throw and catch. Big time play there.
Michael Thomas on the receiving end, but Boyle doing a great job of just stepping up and, I mean, throwing a strike in that zone coverage. Wow, the swing out. Make it Thomas on the receiving end, and he'll get to Northern Iowa territory out of bounds right about the 45-yard line.
It's a nice job. Good patience setting up his block on the outside. Such a tough block to sustain as a wide receiver. Stalk blocking for that long a period of time, but they get the job done.
The other thing about the ISU offensive line, they have a lot more experience coming into this season compared to last year, Dana, as great effort there by Covington to squirm his way to a first down.
So running back from both sides of the ball, both sides of the field, doing a nice job getting yardage after initial contact. Violence on the sideline.
Remember, this possession started after the penalty on the kick return at the Indiana State 10-yard line. They're at the UNI 41 with a 1st and 10. Under 6 minutes remaining in our opening half. Boyle steps up again, throws wide open, and it's a first down and more in the red zone on the reception again by Dante Hendricks. We told you before, these two hooked up for almost 100 yards in the victory against Eastern Illinois nearly 2 weeks ago.
It's an excellent job, good throw and catch again. A lot of separation on the outside. Hendricks comes into this game, just 7 catches but 126 yards, but seems to be a favorite target of Boyle. He moved the ball down the field.
Well, Hendricks is a redshirt freshman from Florence, Kentucky, and last year there was a lot of high hope for him even as a freshman, but he broke his ankle right before the opener of the 2017 season, and you can see how this young man can make an impact, and looks like a great chemistry between him and Boyle.
Well, he was the 6A Player of the Year in the state of Kentucky, a big-time deep threat, and seems to have bounced back from that ankle injury. A huge asset for this Sycamore offense.
So a timeout is called. 5:16 remaining in the opening half of the opener in Valley play for both Northern Iowa and Indiana State. Sycamores coming off victories against Eastern Illinois and Quincy, and actually played Louisville tight in what was, I guess, a complete downpour, and then the Cardinals ran away with it in the second half against ISU.
This is familiar territory for the Sycamores. They are #1 in red zone offense.
And Boyle loses it, but they're going to say that his arm went in a forward motion and it is an incomplete pass.
I don't know. They might call this a lateral. As you see, Kurt Mallory on the sideline is pleading with the officials, but this might be considered a lateral, which brings the ball back to around the 29-yard line. Looked like he was trying to hit his outlet on the bubble screen on the outside. I think there might be some credence to this.
Incomplete pass. Second down.
It looked to me at least his arm went in a forward motion.
I just look at the zip on the ball. I mean, right here you can obviously see it right there. He knows. See, right there.
Ooh, I don't know. Now I see it again.
Hurry up and snap the ball.
Exactly, as they do. And Covington will get a yard pickup on second and 10.
It's a big break for the Sycamores there.
I think so. There you see what exactly Danon was talking about. The perfect 15 for 15 in red zone, but not only 15 for 15, 13 of those coming via the touchdown.
Yep. Actually, they're tied with none other than UNI, who's also 100% in the red zone as far as offense. Had to settle for a couple of field goals today so far.
ISU looking for their first third down conversion tonight. Boyle now feeling the heat, and he's wrapped up as he'll pick up a yard, but great pressure as Bronte Wells, among others, as well as Ricky Neal Jr., putting the heat on the Indiana State quarterback.
Just a 4-man rush, and Ricky Neal Jr., the first one to get there, runs the hump. It's that right hand almost on the ball, trying to strip it. Creates just enough of hesitation. You see the frustration by Neal Jr. at the top of the screen.
So Nunez will be in for the field goal of 34 yards, and it is no good. He misses it wide right. And so Northern Iowa catches a break as they still lead it by 6. Indiana State hosting Northern Iowa still held scoreless in this first half of play with 3:50 remaining, and Danon Hughes, Indiana State going 74 yards on that last possession and getting the missed field goal as UNI takes things over on first down, and Miller will get a 5-yard pickup on that first down carry.
Yeah, well, this is an impressive first half for both teams, and it's tough, obviously, to digest if you're an Indiana State fan because you got a goose egg on the board. You missed an opportunity on an excellent drive to get into field goal range. But considering the nature of this matchup and how it's been over the years in the past, last year losing this game 41-3, and basically the game being over before halftime as we have a player down on the field. Looks like it's Philippe Zakuk.
Yeah, the redshirt sophomore from Finland. And you normally don't hear football players from Finland. In fact, talking to the folks from Indiana State this week, this young man has only played American football for just a couple of years, but really has a lot of promise that Coach Mallory and his staff like from this young man, but coming up injured on that last play.
Yeah, we've had a couple of guys go down. Moala went down earlier with a wrist injury, has not returned to the game. Looks like he's got, as Kelly mentioned, his wrist was off and on wrapped on the sideline with ice, and now another guy from the front seven down as well.
Chris Reed also was the other injured defensive lineman in this first half, as Kelly reported. As you see, the injured player, Zakuk, getting off into the Indiana State sidelines, and there's that last play there.
You see right at the bottom of the screen, Jackson Scott Brown landed on him, trying to finish his block downfield, and maybe knock the wind out of Zakuk.
So a first down carry by Miller, and Miller just lowering his shoulders and trying to get another first down on the carry. Just going to fall about a half-yard shy, and this is just old school football right now, late in this first half by Mark Farley's team. Now up top on the second and short, and overthrown by Eli Dunn. Riley Moore was the intended receiver.
Looks like the official throws a flag. Might be an eligible player downfield.
Offense number 76, 5-yard penalty from the previous spot, third down.
That's the second penalty against Spencer Brown, being downfield too early on pass routes in this game. Just a little too aggressive, but I like the play call. Second and short.
Second down.
Second and short. You go for a throw downfield. Worst thing that can happen is an incomplete pass stops the clock. You still have third down. And that play was relatively close to the line of scrimmage.
It was. So with the penalty, it's a 2nd and 7. Here comes the blitz, and they try to swing it out, and Allen can't come up with the reception. They're going to say incomplete.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Third down.
Very close to another lateral, however.
That's a nice job. If you notice, the defense made a last-second adjustment. Denzel Bonner came down in the box in that strong safety position, number 22. That forced that throw to be stretched out just a little bit longer than it needed to be. And now you got third and long.
UNI 1 for 5 on third downs. They have 6 to pick up a first down. Dunn steps up, throws, and it is caught. The second third down conversion of the evening for UNI on the receiving end. Jalen Rima, the junior from Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Another big-time play by the receiver. Excellent throw by Eli Dunn. Good coverage by Newman. Corner for the Sycamores.
And the carry by Northern Iowa, as it is Allen, and it was Rima on the reception before that. And for Jalen Rima, I know a lot of Northern Iowa Panthers familiar with his grandfather, Gary, who's been the longtime tremendous voice of the Northern Iowa Panthers. And a proud grandpapa, I'm sure. And again, the ground game. Allen spinning off tackles, Indiana State territory, and wrapped up at the 36-yard line as we're nearing the 2-minute mark left in this first half of play. This is just old smash mouth football right now by UNI.
Well, UNI, this is the modus operandi for this team all season long. They run the ball. They like to smash mouth. They believe they have some big time men, big time blockers up front. And looks like they're just wearing down, in some respect, this Sycamore front seven. You're getting yardage gains like that, 7, 10 at a clip. Shows your fatigue.
That was 14 by Allen, and now he'll take a breather. And now it'll be Miller. Again, straight up the gut, gets into the red zone inside the 20, and is stacked up at the 17-yard line. Denzel Bonner Jr. among those finally in on the stop for the Sycamores, but not before a 5-yard pickup. Miller again, trying to get a block, gets inside the 15, down to the 14-yard line. Cade Parrott on the stop that time for Indiana State, as we're down to $1:15.
This game is in total control of the Panthers right now as they call a timeout.
Charge timeout.
Second timeout for UNI with 1:11 left, and they are facing a 3rd and 2, but you can definitely feel on this possession, again, just old school smash mouth football, the momentum is really swaying towards the 21st ranked team in the country right now, Dane.
Well, they outweigh the defensive front for the Sycamores, and those big bodies, you just get tired of big 300-plus pound offensive linemen leaning on you all game long, and it's only up until halftime, but so far very impressed with UNI. They came in wanting to make a concerted effort to run the ball, exactly what you want to accomplish when you're on the road. Establish your will against your opponents. They're doing a fine job.
Out of the timeout, 3rd and 2. Allen, big hole, and he'll lower his shoulders and make his way inside the 5, down to the 2-yard line. He got a first down and more, Dana Hughes.
Huge hole. You could drive a truck through on that left side. Cal Twait, Jackson Scott Brown really doing a nice job.
Allen again, and this time he is stacked up, but not before a gain of 2 yards as we're under a minute remaining in this opening half of play, and Northern Iowa trying to add to their 6-0 lead here in Terre Haute.
This is where things can get compact and maybe a little tougher to run the ball. Everyone's inside the box, inside the 5-yard line.
And this time Dunn is tripped up. UNI still with the timeout remaining.
Nice job, Stephon Mays.
And they'll burn that last one.
3rd and final, charge timeout, Northern Iowa. This will be 30 seconds left.
All right, so what do we do here, Dana? You've got all your timeouts burned, 21 seconds left. You got a 3rd and goal. Interesting decision on this all-important 3rd down play if you're UNI to try to build on this 6-0 lead right now.
Well, it has to be a pass play here. You don't want to run the risk of running the ball. Obviously, if you're defense, Kurt Mallory, you're probably going to opt to go with a blitz. You know it's a pass, get in the face of the quarterback, Eli Dunn, maybe knock him down, and the clock will run out before UNI could run their field goal unit out on the field. UNI could go the safe route and try a field goal right now, but they're going to put the offense back on the field for one last chance. And that shotgun formation, probably looking at a slant or a fade route on the outside.
Miller in the backfield. And they are going to go up top, feeling the pressure. Dunn throws it away. Great job by the Indiana State defense as Jonas Griffith, a redshirt junior from Louisville, Kentucky, on the pressure.
Well, this is a great job on both sides of the ball. Offensively, drawing up a play to move the quarterback out of the pocket so he's not a sitting duck, can extend the play. And then defensively, like I said, coming with the blitz, not allowing him to have time in the backfield to pick apart your defense.
So essentially this field goal attempt is like an extra point as Eartham will try to connect on his third field goal of the night, and now Indiana State,
their second. This will be 30 seconds in length.
Will burn a timeout here with just 15 seconds remaining.
Not too sure about the calling of a timeout right here, maybe to ice the kicker just a bit, but to me, if you can get a big kickoff return, you might want to have that one extra timeout in your bag.
Yeah.
Possibly get in a field goal position. You never know. Different schools of thought.
So for the Sycamores, you almost consider this a win that you might be only giving up 3 points, as for the better part of this last possession, it was a hot knife into butter going through that defense.
Yeah, I think obviously history has shown that the Sycamores team has really not fared well in the first half against this Panther program while Mark Farley's been here. And to be down 6, possibly 9 points only, looks like they're lining up to go for it on 4th down.
Charge timeout. Indiana State, their third and final.
Indiana State will burn their final timeout of the half, and a little mind games going on right now as we're winding down the opening half of play here at Memorial Stadium.
Well, I think what you're trying to do, a little gamesmanship there, trying to force them to use that last timeout. I doubt that Mark Farley was going to run a play there. Maybe he would have taken the penalty, figuring that a field goal from 5 yards back would not be any different than relatively the extra point distance that they were at. I can appreciate that. A little chess being played.
14 plays already on this drive for UNI as they're down at the ISU 2-yard line. Yep. Field goal unit back out there, Dana. Now will they kick it? Eartham 2 for 3 tonight. Again, this is just like an extra point of a 20-yard field goal attempt. And Eartham connects, and so he extends the Panthers' lead to 9 points with just 11 seconds remaining in this first half of play. Indiana State, and they're having their home opener in Valley play here tonight against Northern Iowa, and for Coach Mallory, team with a record of 2-1. And we talked about it earlier, a lot of energy, a lot of momentum, a lot of excitement, not only on campus but in the community with Coach Mallory and a couple of victories in his second season. How do you assess the opening 30 minutes of play from his ball club?
I think there's some positives and negatives. Obviously, he's going to lean on the offense. Hey, we got to sustain drives. We got to capitalize on those third down and short yardage situations and not get into 4th down where we're trying to go for or forcing punts at midfield or beyond. This offense really hasn't played up to what we've seen from them this season. They had 841 yards total offense, averaged 326 yards a game. Tops in the red zone and a goose egg on the board. So definitely room for improvement coming in the second half and making some adjustments.
Eartham with a nice kick here. It will be collected right at the 1-yard line, and the return taken to the 28-yard line. There on the return is Dakota Kate, one of the top return men in FCS football heading into conference play for ISU. 4 seconds left in this opening half. Northern Iowa up by a score of 9-0. Austin Eartham with the 3 field goals as the Sycamores and the Panthers will head to the locker room as we have played 30 minutes of football here in Terre Haute,
That's the end of the first half.
Indiana. Indiana State in the first quarter, more total yardage than Northern Iowa, but as we wrap up this first half of play, Northern Iowa with a strong performance offensively, more yards, and more importantly for Mark Farley's team, more points as they go into the locker room at the half with the lead at 9-0 as the Northern Iowa Panthers trying to go 500 on the season with the conference win here and pick up a victory as they go to 2-2. But right now we've only played 30 minutes of football here at Memorial Stadium. And why don't we send it down to Kelly Burke? She is with Mark Farley, the head coach at Northern Iowa. Kelly?
Coach, Indiana State 0 for 6 right now on third down. Why has your defense been so effective on third down?
Well, Indiana State's good, and we're struggling at times, and then we just settle in and make some good plays, and get a pass rush on them, that type of thing. But right now, we got to get a lot better in the second half. We're playing at third place, and we got to be better in the second half.
You've been able to get 3 field goals, but I know you'd rather have touchdowns. How do you finish drives better?
Well, we should have punched that one in right there, and then we just didn't have the right call in at the right time, so we just got to clean things up and keep doing what we're doing.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
Kelly, thank you. Austin Eartham with 3 field goals for Northern Iowa in the opening half of play here at Memorial Stadium in Terre Haute, Indiana. It's the Valley opener for both ISU and UNI. Cats have the 9-0 lead at the break.
So you'll be here to help if I need you?
Kyle, I got you.
Okay. What about here?
Yep.
Here?
Yep.
Is that for us?
It sure is.
Gimme.
What about here?
Here too, Kyle.
And here's Sir Robert from State Farm.
If you invite me.
He said yes. Huzzah! Let's battle.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
UNI has a rich history of cultivating exceptional teachers and educators.
Elevating Educators is an athletics initiative in partnership with the university
that seeks to honor and elevate professional educators throughout Iowa, the United States, and the world.
All educators deserve to be recognized and celebrated. Go to our website or follow UNI Athletics on social media to find out how the university and Panther Athletics are working to spread the message about the importance of educators everywhere.
NCAA Division I FCS football is a game of perseverance, integrity, passion, character, and sportsmanship. As he works to honor the game, every FCS student-athlete grows in his responsibilities as a student and as a member of his campus and community. Dedicated to personal growth and success in the classroom, the NCAA Division I FCS, every down, every day.
It's not about where you were born. It's not about your gender or the color of your skin, or whether you're rich, poor, or in the middle. No matter what you play, if you have the skill and drive to succeed in school and in sports, we'll provide the opportunity.
Blue is 100+ majors, from education to aviation. An honors program that takes you around the world and leads to innovative research and Fulbright scholars. Blue is top 5 in the nation for community service 5 years in a row. Blue is students from all 50 states and 70 countries. Blue is 150 years, 100,000 alumni, one strong Sycamore community. Blue is Indiana State University. There's more to Blue.
Welcome back to Memorial Stadium here in Terre Haute, Indiana. It is our Valley game of the week and our season opener, Indiana State taking on the Northern Iowa Panthers. And kind enough to join us here at the half is the Director of Athletics at Indiana State, Sherrod Clinkscales. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
A lot of excitement with this football team, and nice turnaround so far for Coach Mallory in year number 2 with your program.
Well, we got to win. That's the big thing. But we're really excited, and Coach has got the young men playing hard, and
hopefully we'll have a good turnout and a good result today.
Yeah, you've got a Thursday night game. You and I were just talking before the interview that this is something you want to implement to bring excitement not only to the community but also to the students at Indiana State.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to get new lights, and I want to be able to capitalize on that. And want to get our students to the game, and what better way to have a Thursday night game to try to rally the troops to get them all out.
And of course, not only does it involve you doing the upgrades here at Memorial Stadium, but I know a lot of upgrades with even the practice facility for Coach Mallory and his football program.
Yeah, we're going to open up the Rentschler practice facility here soon from a donation from the Rentschler family. But we're really doing some things to try to enhance what Coach Mallory is going to be able to do. We're in the toughest conference in the country, and we got to do the best we can to compete. And this is one way we're doing that. And
obviously, Coach Mallory taking over, we all know his late father and what he meant to Indiana and football in the state of Indiana too.
No question. I mean, Kurt went to Bloomington South High School, and his dad was a longtime coach at IU, and Bloodlines find a way to win, and he's an outstanding man and a leader of men. So.
Switching gears, Sherrod, basketball right around the corner, and this is a big year for you guys. It's the 40th anniversary of the team that made it to the finals with Larry Bird, and I know you guys got a lot of things coming up involving that 40-year anniversary of that basketball team.
Yeah, we have a committee of people that are part of that team in the community, and we just see this as a chance to really celebrate that special team as a university, as a community here at Terre Haute, and we're looking forward to having all of them back in January 19th.
January 19th it is. Always good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
That is Sherrod Clinkscales, the Director of Athletics here at Indiana State. It is our Valley Game of the Week at Memorial Stadium. More when we come back. It's the Valley on ESPN. Halftime show continues here at Memorial Stadium. It's the Valley on ESPN as it's the season opener here at Indiana State as they take on the 21st ranked Northern Iowa Panthers. And kind enough to join us right now here at the half is the Director of Athletics at UNI, David Harris. Always good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you as well.
Got to be excited about this football team. Of course, 1-2 in non-conference play, a big non-conference schedule as Coach always does with Coach Farley, but teams in the top 25, he seems to be reloaded again.
Absolutely, and we're looking forward to having a good season. When you're playing in this league, you know that each and every time you come out, you're going to have a difficult opponent. It's what makes our conference the best in FCS. And so we're looking forward to the challenge that we have today and playing this game, playing against an improved Indiana State team. And for us, it's about trying to get better each and every time we go out and trying to build and have some momentum so that we're at our best at the end of the season.
You have already done so much taking over the program, the athletic program at UNI. Now you have a program now called Panther Rising over at UNI. Describe to some of the folks at home what that's all about, David.
Sure. Panthers Rising is our strategic plan. It's a 5-year strategic plan that lays out a vision for UNI athletics. And to our knowledge, there hasn't been a strategic plan in the history of our program before. So we decided we wanted to do this because we felt like it was important that we have established goals, that we have metrics to be able to measure whether or not we're meeting those goals, and that we're public and transparent about it so that people can see what it is that we're trying to accomplish and ultimately know how they can help us. So from our standpoint, our vision is about unprecedented success. It's about the student athlete experience and focusing on that and then trying to achieve unprecedented success. And for us, that's a big deal because we've had success in a number of different areas before. And so we're trying to pursue unprecedented success in academics, competition, and really everything that we do.
David, we talk about the success in the fall sports with the football program for so many years, but also the volleyball program. And I know they've had a monster non-conference schedule before conference play gets underway this year.
As is the case every time with Coach Peterson, she likes to play a tough non-conference schedule to get us ready for the conference schedule. So this year was no exception. I was fortunate enough to be able to go with the team when they played non-conference games out in California, so playing against USC and Creighton and Kentucky, and we've built on it since then. And it's helped us to be able to get off to a 2-0 start in the conference schedule. So it's obviously hitting its intended mark, but we're excited. We feel like we have a good team, and we want to continue to support them throughout the season.
David, always good to see you and continued success up there in Cedar Falls.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We're going to take a break here. It is our Valley Game of the Week from Indiana State, Northern Iowa, and the Sycamores. Stick around. Halftime continues in Terre Haute, Indiana Memorial Stadium as Northern Iowa taking on Indiana State. Of course, Dana and Hughes, as we mentioned, League play opens up this weekend. South Dakota in Carbondale, YSU at Western Illinois will be our next telecast coming up on Saturday. The big one, of course, number 3 South Dakota State taking on number 1 the Bison.
Going to be a great matchup. The Dakota marker. 2 teams in the top 5. How about that?
Illinois State taking on Missouri State. Illinois State with that victory over Colorado State, now ranked 9th in the country. Let's go downstairs. Kelly Burke is with Coach Mallory of Indiana State.
Coach, you were able to move the ball well in the first half, but how do you get points out of the end of the drives?
Well, we just got to finish, and that's the big emphasis here at halftime.
Defensively, Northern Iowa able to get their run game going late in the half. What do you need to tighten up there?
Well, we got to get the fits right. We didn't fit a couple things right. They got out on us a couple times. We tightened down, kept them to field goals.
Good luck in the second half, Coach. Thank you.
All right, Coach and Kelly, thanks so much. Stick around, more coming up from Memorial Stadium as we get set for the second half between ISU and UNI. They're in the opening part of the second half here in Terre Haute, Indiana. Now it's time to see whose stats went right. Sponsored by State Farm. Here to help life go right, Dana Hughes.
Well, I see the ones in the middle really jump out to me, Scott. The Sycamores, 5 penalties for 35 yards, 0 for 6 on third down, as Kelly alluded to at halftime. So negative plays have really hurt the Sycamores in this game. Give some credit. Very balanced offense, and passing and running the ball for the Panthers have gotten them to this 9-0 lead.
Underway in this third quarter of play. And again, nice return getting to the outside, and a penalty flag back behind the line of scrimmage. And I'll tell you what, Caton has done a terrific job in returning these kickoffs here tonight for Indiana State. But again, Sycamore shooting themselves in the foot.
Scott, I want to bang my head against this door right here. This is a good block, and it's unfortunate. Obviously, the game has changed since I played, but a little bit of a peel back block, but it's the only block that could be made. Maybe just
during the return,
playing two-hand touch a bit, but
return team number 43 after this to the goal. First down.
I stand corrected. They called a hold, but I thought there was also a clean block that they evidently would have let go. But as you said, shooting themselves in the foot, not the way you want to come out at halftime.
It's a 34-yard difference. You had first and 10 the 43, and now you're backed up at your own 9 on your opening possession of the second half, trailing by 9.
First and 10 for Indiana State.
On the first play of this second half for Indiana State, Jaquan Keys will be wrapped up right at the line of scrimmage for no gain, as Seth Thomas was there in on stop along with Bryce Douglas, as you see there at number 98. Keys with just 10 carries and 54 yards in the first half. Many
Bryce
of those
Douglas
yards.
is a big man up front. You see him hold his ground, basically swallow up Keys in the backfield.
Boyle now feeling the heat and does a nice job to get it out on the shovel pass to Keys for positive yardage. Yeah, Keys had, I think, 53 yards in that first quarter and just 1 yard rushing in the second quarter play. Credit Mark Farley's defense and shutting down one of the top runners in the entire country.
That's a nice job improvising just a bit, feeling some of the pressure, trying to make something positive happen. Third and long situation, but you're right. They did mix in Covington and McCoy just a bit, but they really need to get Keys going again.
Here comes the blitz. Boyle steps up, throws, and it is dropped incomplete. It was a low pass that was intended for Morgan, and that will force a fourth down situation. Now ISU is 0 for 7 on third down conversions this evening at home.
Remember, this offense has averaged 37 points a game coming into this contest. And as we mentioned earlier, 326 yards a game. The offense really hasn't stepped up, and obviously you have to tip your cap and give credit to Mark Farley and his defense.
Williams gets it right at the midfield stripe, and he'll get a 5-yard return into Indiana State territory. And so for the Northern Iowa Panthers, they have terrific field position on their first possession here in the second half as they look to add to their 9-0 lead. You have to figure, though, and Coach Farley kind of mentioned to Kelly Burke that that last drive they only came up with 3 points instead of 7 points as they fell 2 yards shy of their first touchdown of the night. I'd be a little frustrated with that, I would imagine.
Absolutely. I think you're going to see maybe a home run try right here. This is part of the field where obviously they've been gashing this defense in the first half, getting a lot of big-time runs. We saw the stats earlier, the running attack for UNI in the first half, really doing a nice job. Eli Dunn had 139 yards passing. Rushing the ball, they had 124.
A lot of those in the second quarter, and especially on that last possession that they had. Here's Miller getting a first down as he is finally wrapped up at the 32-yard line.
Kurt Mallory talked about the run fits, and what that means is guys have responsibilities, and oftentimes, Scott, is a nice stop there by Indiana State for a short yardage gain. But what run fits means is that anytime you see a team that gets gashed on offense, it's usually because somebody's trying to do someone else's job. They're not, the defensive tackle is trying to jump a gap, maybe cheat just a bit, and they get overextended, and next thing you know, you have a big hole that the offense capitalizes on.
Allen trying to bounce to the outside, somehow stays on his feet and does a great job of getting that first down on that carry for UNI before he bounces out of bounds.
Looks like a misalignment by Indiana State here. Look how much space is on the outside. Nobody on the edge but the cornerback to have to come up and make a play. Linebacker tries to scrape. You can't have that void.
Allen once again with the carry, over 100 yards, barrels into the end zone for the touchdown. 18-yard run for Trevor Allen, and he gets his second touchdown of the season and the first of the night for UNI, and they add to the lead at 15-0 in the first 3 minutes of this third quarter of play.
Several double-digit runs for Trevor Allen in this game. Good hard-nosed running. Drops that shoulder, breaks a couple of tackles for the first touchdown of the evening. Excellent blocking up front, man. Cal Twait. These guys are really doing a nice job.
And the PAT is up and good. So the Northern Iowa Panthers find the end zone for the first time tonight in their opening possession of the second half. Trevor Allen with the 18-yard touchdown run to add to the UNI lead, and Kelly Burke, there's been a lot of Allens that have played for Northern Iowa.
There sure have, Scott. Trevor, the son of UNI Hall of Fame linebacker Andre Allen, who was also the two-time Missouri Valley Defensive Player of the Year in his day. And Trevor's older brother, AJ, is a senior defensive back on this team. The brothers separated by just a year and shared a bedroom growing up. So when it came time to decide where Trevor wanted to go to school, he spurned an offer from North Dakota State to follow his brother AJ to UNI. And the brothers play opposite sides of the ball, but both are excelling. We saw Trevor on that last touchdown run, and then AJ already with 2 interceptions on the season. Scott?
Yeah, AJ, exactly, Kelly, with, as you mentioned, those 2 interceptions so far this season. And now Allen with that touchdown run is over 100 yards rushing against this Indiana State defense. And you can feel, Danon Hughes, this momentum definitely swaying towards the Cats' way here in the opening stages of this second half.
I love Kelly's story about the Allen brothers. Here's the question. How many fights do you think really happened in that one bedroom? You got dynamics, 1 year difference. I have 2 kids that are within 18 months, and you got 2 football player mindsets, one on offense, one on defense. How many scrimmages were going when they moved the beds aside?
In the backyard, too. Indiana State from their own 13 on their second possession. And this is McCoy with his first carry of the night. Great effort breaking some tackles and getting very close to a first down. They'll give him 8 yards on the first down carry.
Nice run. Nice job. A good pressure by the defense. And Scott, you look at this defense. I don't feel like I'm giving enough love to this Panther defense. This UNI program got down 38-0 against the Iowa Hawkeyes in the third quarter. Since that fourth
Personal
quarter.
foul, hands to the face, defense number 9, 15-yard penalty.
Oh, big-time penalty.
First down.
That's on Xavier Williams, the redshirt sophomore. Go ahead, Danny.
Just the third of the evening for the Panthers, but considering from that game, they go into the fourth quarter of that Iowa game, they have not given up a point since. So 38 straight points by the Hawkeyes in that loss, a tough loss at Kinnick Stadium. And since then, goose eggs for 7 straight quarters.
Impressive. Boyle gets time this time, and he'll go underneath to Covington, and he'll be tripped up at the 41-yard line. There is A.J. Allen, who Kelly just spoke of on the stop.
Boyle's pass was complete to number 31.
A lot of playmakers on this defense for the Panthers. Duncan Furch, we haven't really said his name much. And don't forget about number 5, Corby Sander.
Nowhere on the carry that time for Titus McCoy. Holy cow. Brinkman was right there. He sniffed that one out from the get-go.
Iowa City native. Looks like he's limping off of that right leg right there, but a big-time stop. Leads the team, or tied for the lead with 2 sacks, and it's a little tackle for loss there.
Panthers will bring 4. Boyle flushed out of the pocket. He'll carry it himself, diving forward, and he will get the first third down conversion of the night for Indiana State.
Just past the sticks right there. Almost got brought down. His knee was just beyond the first down marker, but it's a nice job improvising some pressure in the pocket. And we've seen this young man run strong all evening long. As you mentioned, their first third down conversion.
That's McCoy in the backfield with Boyle. And Boyle just trying to do things on his own to try to get something stirred offensively for Indiana State. It's not as if this team in the first half couldn't get the yardage. It was just a matter of trying to get that thing punched in a couple of different times on their possessions once they got into UNI territory.
And extending the drives as well. You feel like even to start the third quarter, even with several minutes of break during halftime, the defense still seemed to be just a bit tired. This is very helpful here.
Boyle will go underneath, and it is in and out of the hands of McCoy, the intended receiver. And there you see Kolarvik, redshirt freshman. He's all over the football here on this field defensively for UNI.
Good pressure on the outside forces him to step up in the pocket, and there's Kolarvik right there covering the back out of the backfield. We have yet to see either team really take a shot downfield.
Boyle buying some time, looking, line as he throws a strike, a sidearm strike to McCoy underneath. Great coverage downfield, but we do have a penalty flag behind the line of scrimmage.
Holding. Offense number 77. 10-yard penalty remains. Third down.
So again, the Sycamores with another penalty.
Big left tackle, Tate Levitt.
That's their 7th, by the way. But again, on that play, Boyle, he bought himself some time on the rollout, but just couldn't find anybody open downfield at all there, Dana.
And what's so impressive about him is that how he has the ability and has the patience to keep his eyes downfield. Even though he's a tough runner, he can opt to tuck that ball and run quickly. He still wants to make a big play downfield.
So the Sycamores will go to the ground game, and McCoy bouncing off a tackler and is finally wrapped up inside the 45-yard line. How about the effort from Titus McCoy, the sophomore from Greenwood, Indiana, but again, another penalty flag.
Looked like it was late, a little bit of action, but how about this right here, breaking one tackle, 2.
stiff arm as well, and then sniffs out the first down marker. Looks like maybe his knee got dropped down just a little bit short. Wonder where that flag will come from. But you see Kurt Mallory on the sideline. He's the biggest cheerleader as he saw that run unfold.
Yes, he did. Duncan Furch, by the way, was the one to finally put McCoy to the ground.
On the field was the ball carrier was short of the line of gain. After the play, dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense number 4, 15-yard penalty, down counts, 4th down.
A good explanation there. You see the frustration on Coach Mallory's face. Basically, because the foul happened after the knee touched down by the runner, Titus McCoy, they do not have the luxury of negating that run and creating 3rd down again.
That's Rontrez Morgan. He was the one that was flagged for the 15-yard penalty after the play.
I think there was just extra blocking and extra effort. I was always taught to block through the echo of the whistle. And sometimes things can get a little testy.
The previous play is under review.
So we'll get a review here on the previous play. And I would imagine what they're trying to review here is whether he actually did get the first down or not, where the knee was down after the tackle was made by Duncan Furch.
This is going to be a big-time review, because if he got the first down, then just as the penalty stood and got him 4th down, it would be first down and just move the ball back pretty much to where it was originally spotted for that 3rd down play.
Let's take a look at it one more time. Another just outstanding effort here by McCoy.
Thought Ellerson Smith got off the ball on defense, got away with offsides, but right here, watch that knee right there. Now, seemed like that knee dropped about, gosh, the 44-yard line.
That's
maybe,
what I was
roughly around
say
there.
too. This might give us a little better angle. Furch there, and the knee is down. Yeah, right about the 44. I think you called it right there.
Yeah, so he's about a half a yard short to my estimation. And you see right there the blocking and extra activity that's going on with Rondrez.
After further review, the ruling of the runner short of the line of gain is confirmed. 4th down.
Tough break again for Kurt Mallory and his Sycamores. Again, shooting themselves in the foot.
So Travis Reiner, who has been a busy man here tonight for Indiana State, back to punt once again. Another line drive kick, and Williams calls for the fair catch inside the Northern Iowa 10-yard line. Panthers football, when we come back, they have the lead at 16. The Missouri Valley Football Conference Game of the Week is a production of State Farm Insurance. There for you when things go wrong, but also here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today at 800 State Farm. Tonight's game is also brought to you by On the Run, the official convenience store of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Danon Hughes, Kelly Burke, Scott Warman, and our entire Tupelo Raycom crew. So great to have you alongside in our Valley opener here tonight on a Thursday in Terre Haute. Indiana State and the 21st ranked Northern Iowa Panthers. The Cats lead it 16-0 as they have their second possession in this second half of play. And I would say, since that last possession of the first half, Coach Farley has gone pretty conservative from an offensive standpoint.
Well, he's recognized if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The run game is really working well. It worked consistently in the first half. 1-2 punch between Miller and Trevor Allen. And here we got Trevor Allen again on another big gain, another first down.
Wow, breaks a couple of tackles and still spinning for more yards all the way to the 35-yard line. Danon, that's a 20-yard pickup for Trevor Allen, and he now has almost 150 on the night, and we're just midway through the third quarter play.
It seems like the big runs are going to the left side. Cal Twait, Jackson Scott Brown, when the tight end is lined up on that side, Elias Nissen, that's when they're getting the big gains. Here's another one. First down, gain of 6 or 7. As Coach Mallory talked about, the run fits where guys are just getting caved in. You're seeing Trevor Allen plant that right foot, skip to the outside, and basically get 7, 10-yard gains on plays that maybe he should be gaining 2 or 3.
We'll take a breather, and Miller will check in now for the UNI offense. On 2nd and 3. Miller cutting against the grain, and a cut that gives him the first down as he's finally cut down at the 48-yard line. There you see Caleb Newman, who finally makes the stop for ISU, but not before they move the chains again.
Way too much activity and tackling in the run game by the secondary for the Sycamores. You don't want to see your defensive backs, especially the corners, being at the top of the charts as far as tackles.
Allen initially hit behind the line of scrimmage, and great effort by the junior from Waukee, Iowa, to try to get back to the line of scrimmage. Right now, the Northern Iowa Panthers are averaging just over 6 yards per carry, Danon.
We talked about on the flip side, running back Jaquan Keys averaging over 6 yards per rush coming into this game, and things definitely have changed.
And the pass is complete. Rima will be run out of bounds as they get into Indiana State territory, and Rima will run out of bounds right at about the Indiana State 26-yard line.
It's an excellent job avoiding the first tackle, whether you're running the ball in the backfield with Allen and Miller or Rima on the outside. These guys are really doing a nice job avoiding contact, avoiding tackles from the initial contact, and making big plays.
Sean Powell, the senior from Hartford, Connecticut, you see, is the injured Sycamore with 5:40 remaining in our third quarter, and Northern Iowa driving on Indiana State. Tell you what, Jaden Hughes, Northern Iowa impressive here, even on their second possession, as they are just going to the old bread and butter and run the ball right up the middle against Indiana State right now. Once again, Miller spins inside the 20 and finally wrapped up at the 16-yard line by Denzel Bonner Jr.
Scott, the left side, the complete left side of this defense, or the side of the field, is vacated right there. Look how big that hole is. It even seemed like Miller was a little bit surprised there, but that's where they've been winning in this game, is left side behind Cal Twait, the captain at that left tackle, longtime starter, getting the job done.
I might have actually gotten 10 yards on that carry, and Allen will carry it into the end zone for his second touchdown of the night. 16 yards on this one, and Northern Iowa extending their lead with 4:58 remaining in the third quarter of play.
This is the first game of the weekend in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, but I'm going to put the crown of lineman of the week over there on the left side between Jackson Scott Brown and Cal Twait. Look at those guys blocking, opening up the gaps. It looks like the defense is not really engaging. They're just trying to jump around blocks, which opens up those holes even bigger. Man.
Eartham will split the uprights on the extra point, and it's now a 23-0 lead for the 21st ranked team in the country. And for Allen, his second touchdown of the night and third overall in this 2018 campaign.
The recipe for success for Mark Farley in this program has always been grind and pound, running the ball, playing solid defense. I mentioned earlier the goose egg that's up on the board and has been for the last couple of contests. And offensively, I mean, there's nothing more demoralizing than to be able to establish your run on the road against a team in the fashion that they're doing it right now.
Dana, you kind of touched on it even in the UNI first possession, that the Indiana State Sycamores, well, when you look at the time of possession in the first half, their defense spent a lot of time out on the field in that second quarter. It looked like that carried over, and they've spent that defense for ISU a lot of time on the field here in this third quarter as well.
It's almost like going back to that missed field goal. We're up 6-0 and missed the field goal, and everything kind of turned up a notch for the Panthers at that time.
And the return by Caton, and the effort by Caton gets him to the 21-yard line. So if you're Indiana State right now, obviously frustrated at what you see at the scoreboard, but want to try to get something rolling from an offensive standpoint here, as frustration, I think, from time to time has probably settled in for ISU.
You go back to our prep during the week, Scott, and the keys that we talked about with the Sycamore program. They said they wanted to get the keys going in their running attack, and Jaquan Keys started off strong and has kind of quieted down ever since.
Here's our first home run ball of the night, and oh, incomplete.
Rolling on the field is an incomplete pass.
What an effort, though, by Dante Hendricks.
Outstanding effort. Thought that there was a little bit more jostling downfield, maybe warranted a flag for pass interference, but how about the concentration here? Watch, a little bit of wrestling, gets right over the top, see the ball jostle off the ground. Not too bad a coverage there as well.
No,
but,
it wasn't. Xavier Williams.
Yeah, I thought there was some pushing and shoving going on. That's spoken from an ex-wide receiver.
Of course it is. Play clock down to 2. Boyle gets the snap and swings it out. There's just absolutely no running room for Caton whatsoever. Trying to set up a screen to get some blocks and see if Caton can take over with some of his speed, but it was just sniffed out beautifully by the Northern Iowa defense.
Xavier Williams will not get credit for that tackle, but he made that play right there, pushing the stalk blocker back into the ball carrier, into the receiver there, and no yards to gain.
Indiana State with just one third down conversion here tonight. They're 1 for 8. Boyle, pressure, and down he goes. Great pressure by the front four for UNI, and it was Bronte Wells, the redshirt sophomore from Des Moines, that eventually got Boyle down on the ground.
Anytime you can get into a predictable situation, just a 4-man rush, but none of those guys up front have to worry about the run game. Pin their ears back, get pressure, try to collapse the pocket like they did, they're able to corral the quarterback. So those third and extra long situations, that's a Christmas morning for defensive linemen.
Line drive punt, and UNI is just going to let this thing roll, and ISU will down it at the 40-yard line. Was that Williams jumping in at the last minute?
Unnecessary, nothing to gain there. That ball was moving sideways. I think he's just kind of ribbing the team, you know, just trying to give it to him a little bit, I guess, a little extra attitude there, moxie, I guess you can say. We've seen that go bad for a lot of teams in the past, but he takes a chance.
Northern Iowa has 135 yards of total offense to just 43 for Indiana State. In fact, UNI averaging over 10 yards per play in this third quarter of play with 3:14 remaining. And they've done it predominantly on the ground, and they go back to the ground game with Allen once again. In fact, in that 8-play drive where they scored their second touchdown on the Trevor Allen 16-yard romp, 7 of the 8 plays came on the ground on that 8-yard drive.
Yeah, I don't anticipate Eli Dunn throwing the ball, although they did shoot out a hitch route to Jalen Rima on that last drive just to soften up the defense just a bit, but you're not going to see a healthy dose of throwing the ball downfield. No need.
You saw the graphic there. UNI a very strong second half team to open things up in this 2018 campaign, as Allen will get the handoff once again. He'll fall short of the first down by about 1.5 yards.
Scott, you mentioned this team being a top 25 team, the UNI Panthers, and part of the reason why they will probably be atop of the Missouri Valley Football Conference, top 3 or 4 like we normally see them. It's because of their run game and their attitude in the run game. Everyone here knows they're going to run the ball and yet cannot be stopped.
And on play action, they'll go underneath, and the reception made by Moore for the first down into Indiana State territory at the 39-yard line, 13 yards
for a defensive helmet off
on the pickup. Riley Moore, the junior from Blue Springs, Missouri.
Came into the game with just 1 touchdown. Catch not really been a big factor in the passing game, but really done a nice job in this game thus far.
Charge timeout.
Indiana State is going to call a timeout on this 1st and 10 play from the ISU 39-yard line with 1:49 remaining in this 3rd quarter of play. Well, as we've been telling you, the rushing game has been huge for UNI to build up this 23-point lead right now.
A 1-2 punch between those 2 running backs, Y. Miller and Trevor Allen. Allen having a bigger day thus far, getting to the end zone, and like I said, an abundance of those yardage have been to the left side of the offensive line. Very, very impressive. Some big bodies up front, NFL-looking type of offensive line when they jump off the bus. They're doing some work this evening.
Dunn up top and connects with Fossey for another first down. More on that offensive line. Let's check back in with Kelly Burke.
Scott, you and Danon were giving the big fellas up front some love earlier. And how about starting center Ezra Zerbeck? He's played all over the field for UNI. He's been a defensive end, defensive tackle, left guard, right guard. And in fall camp, coaches moved him to the center position. This is a guy, though, that's used to adjusting to things on the fly. He grew up with 29 foster siblings, and that cultivated his interest in working with children. He's an elementary education major who spent the past 2 summers working through the YMCA at Irving Elementary School. And even though he's 6'5", 300 pounds, and he may be intimidating right now on the field, off of it, the kids love the gentle giant, as they call him, with a curly red beard.
Gentle at 6'5", 305, really?
Like a big teddy bear up there, I'm sure.
A real big teddy bear.
Gotta love that story, though. Paying it forward.
And Allen, again, the offensive line pushing the defense of Indiana State back to get more yardage on the carry.
Number 25, Allen, the ball carrier.
And so a 3rd and 1 for UNI as they spot the ball at the Indiana State 20-yard line.
Now going to take some time and huddle up as the clock winds down to the end of the 3rd quarter.
So we get set for the 4th quarter play here at Memorial Stadium in Terre Haute, Indiana. Northern Iowa rolling here. The 21st ranked team in the country has the 23-0 lead over Indiana State. It's Valley Football on ESPN. Northern Iowa facing a 3rd and 1 at the ISU 20-yard line. They have a 23-0 lead as we start the 4th quarter of play. 250 yards on the ground, which is more than the total yards Indiana State has on offense tonight here at Memorial Stadium. Y. Miller just right up the gut. First down and more as he finally hits the turf at the 13-yard line.
Number 8, Y. Miller.
Again, going back to the well, leaning on that run game with this huge offensive line. This is the fun part for the offensive line. They love run blocking, even though passing, is all pretty, and obviously the highlights come from passing. Offensive linemen, you pull most. They like them all.
Miller looking for his first touchdown of the night, and he'll be wrapped up inside the 10 down to the 8-yard line. Moss in on the stop for the Indiana State Sycamores. No question, an impressive showing by Northern Iowa, and especially controlling the line of scrimmage here tonight, Dana.
This offensive line, we talked about Cal Twait, Jackson Scott Brown, and several others on that offensive line have really done a nice job. You consider Ezra Zerback, Nick Ellis, Spencer Brown, they averaged 302.8 pounds.
Number 25, out the ball.
Amongst them.
For a defensive injury.
So we have another injured Sycamore down on the field. And we've seen a few of them, unfortunately, for Coach Mallory's team. And it looks like it's Pashawn Powell that's down again. Just underway, fourth quarter. 21st ranked team in the country trying to pick up a road win to open up Valley play. Indiana State defensive tackle Pashawn Powell, the senior from Hartford, Connecticut, gingerly heading to the sidelines after during that timeout. And the Indiana State Sycamores, especially their defensive line, they have been beaten up here tonight. And this is Miller on the carry on third down. And it'll force a fourth down situation now for UNI. You figure Powell got injured. Remember, Maola was injured way back early in the first quarter of play. Chris Reed, also the redshirt freshman on that defensive line, injured in the first half too for Indiana State.
Philippe Zakuk was also injured as well.
Young man from Finland. So Eartham to attempt the field goal here. And he has now made 4 field goals tonight as he adds to the Northern Iowa lead. It's now 26-0 with under 13 minutes left in this fourth quarter of play. Well, for the Northern Iowa Panthers, of course, Coach Farley, like many of the coaches in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, scheduling up during non-conference play, starting out the season 0-2, taking on a very tough Montana team on the road, picking up the loss, of course, to going to Kinnick and taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes, picking up a loss there. Had a strong fourth quarter, however, but rebounding for Coach Farley's team nicely with their home opener win last week. Here's the thing, that was last Saturday. All of a sudden you turn around, you're playing Thursday. You're cut 2 days short from not only preparation, but also for the bodies to just get back to regular functioning. It had to be interesting how Coach Farley had to try to massage that, if you will, a little bit.
Yeah, I think guys recognize, they look at the schedule when it comes out, they mentally prepare for it. Obviously, you hope for the best, and last week, being that they were able to win that game 44-0, you had ample opportunity to kind of relax just a bit in that game, maybe finish a little stronger than you would if it was a close game, in anticipation of this matchup being the first conference game of the season. I think that just is a great testament to Mark Farley and the type of program he runs. How everyone's on the right page, taking care of these young men and making sure they're sharp each and every week. As you see Bryce Paulk there, played against him at the NFL level. Great outside linebacker for the Buffalo Bills for many years.
And running with it is Boyle. He'll get a first down and more, and he'll just tiptoe out of bounds at the 40. 20-yard pickup, I should say, for Boyle, as couldn't find anyone open downfield, decided to just tuck it in and take it himself.
This young man came onto the scene relatively late for the Sycamores just this summer, and there was a lot of questions as to how much he could absorb with this offense. And Jaleel Kilpatrick was the starting quarterback, and he's elevated himself to this starting position right now. Really has done a nice job. Even though they haven't put any scores up on the board, you can't really blame Boyle very much what they've been able to do. They've shot themselves in the foot with multiple penalties. But when he's had to make a play, for the most part, he's really done a nice job.
No turnovers for the Sycamores here tonight. And for Boyle, it was, as you mentioned, kind of signed with the team after leaving the Iowa program kind of late, picked up by Coach Mallory. In fact, the first scrimmage that the Sycamores had during fall camp, he injured his knee and really didn't participate in camp after that for a couple of weeks.
And then you consider his stint at the University of Iowa. He didn't get much playing time as far as a quarterback position, so brushing the rust off and leading this team in the fashion that he has thus far in this season. He's still got a ways to go. There's still a lot of room for improvement. I think if you're Kurt Mallory, kind of like what you see out of number 10.
Boyle's got a lot of time, throws and overthrows his intended receiver, Michael Thomas.
Pass ball's incomplete, intended for number 18, Thomas.
He can sling it, that's for sure.
He's got a strong arm. Good presence in the pocket, good feel as well for pressure around him, knows how long he has to hold on to the ball.
And on 2nd and 10, Keys, who has been very quiet here this evening, gets a couple of yards. That's his 12th carry for just 57 yards tonight.
What did he have in the first quarter? 54, yep. On 10 carries.
Yeah. Northern Iowa defense has done a superb job of containing Keys here tonight in this conference opener. Boyle steps up and goes underneath, and Morgan will get to the 36-yard line, very close to an Indiana State first down. They've only had one third down conversion so far, and they fall just shy of the first down marker.
Nice job going through the progressions here, and Morgan trying to make something more out of that catch and almost gets the first down.
And trying to get the first down on a 4th down conversion. I don't think they got it. I think for the second time tonight, Northern Iowa has held fort and has denied Indiana State a 4th and inches. Boy, what a surge right out of the snap there by that defense for Northern Iowa there, Dana.
See multiple bodies in there. Ellerson Smith, number 47, gets some push up front, but that's a big time win. I'm sure right at this juncture, we talked about it earlier, in the 4th quarter, this could be 8 straight quarters where they did not give up. Actually, it would be 9 if they end this game
with a shutout.
With a shutout, it'd be 9 straight quarters where they haven't given up a point. So the incentive is real for the Panthers defense. They'd like to get back on the field. Everybody wants to play, but if they had their druthers, they'd like to have their offense maybe extend about a 12 to 14 play drive here, suck up a lot of clock with the run game, and try to preserve this shutout.
Hey fans, to get all the recent news on the league's premier FCS conference, follow Missouri Valley Football at valley-football.org or at Valley Football on Facebook and Twitter. High snap handled by Dunn. And Allen trying to tiptoe through about 4 or 5 different blue jerseys there. Put on some dance moves there, Dignan.
Well, you wonder when this was going to happen, where you were going to have rally tackling by the Sycamores. Everyone knows that they're going to run the ball, maybe not here with 3rd and 10, but gotta stack the box and try to stop the run and get the ball back.
Absolutely. 3rd and 11 now for the Panthers as we're under 9 minutes remaining in this one, and Northern Iowa coming out of the gate slow, but have been very impressive, especially here in the second half as they set up a screen beautifully. Allen will get the first down. Allen into Indiana State territory. His center will carry him a few more yards and then eventually out of bounds.
That's an excellent job. You think the big offensive linemen are not athletic. How about the movement here? You predict the blitz, perfectly executed play on the screen, and then how about the big boy out front, Ezra Zerbeck? Hey, pulling him along, that's what you do with your buddy. Pull him along and take him for a ride. How nimble do you have to be that type of player? Kelly talked about just these guys really doing a fine job. Actually, that was Tyler Putney, backup left tackle.
And that time, Indiana State closes the door quickly on the carry by Miller. There you see number 94, Jake Sager, redshirt junior from Sidney, Nebraska. Miller will check out, and Allen will check back in for Coach Farley's Northern Iowa Panthers, as now with the 26-0 lead, just trying to wind down this clock as we're midway through this fourth quarter play here in Terre Haute. And again, nothing pretty. And coming up quickly was Caleb Newman and company for the Indiana State defense. There you see Jonas Griffith, the leading tackler for Indiana State heading into tonight's game. He's had a couple of 11 tackle performances so far this year against Eastern Illinois and against Louisville.
This defense has just been on the field way too long. They had over 40 plays in the first half. Normally the average of football plays usually around 60, 65 plays a game for most offenses. 40 in the first half.
Northern Iowa will call a timeout as they face a 3rd and 13. All Cats tonight in Terre Haute. All Northern Iowa tonight here in Terre Haute, Indiana. Full moon as we see the upcoming schedule this weekend in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. More on this as we have a 3rd and 13 coming up for Northern Iowa from the Indiana State 43-yard line. Dunn swings it out to Allen, and a nice pursuit there by Indiana State to force a 4th down. All right, so conference play opens up. Obviously, this game tonight, 4 more on the slate, as we just showed you, coming up this weekend, Dan and Hughes. And before we get to the Dakota Marker game, interesting, I thought, Illinois State. There you see number 9 Illinois State, their first conference game against, I think, a Bears team that is improved, but Illinois State coming off a huge win against Colorado State. That's the 9 successive seasons that a Valley football team has beaten at least one FBS team.
Amazing, amazing feat for this conference, and just goes to show how much power up and down Missouri Valley Football Conference has it. We'll be in Macomb.
Oh, a fumble on the punt return, and who has it? I think Northern Iowa may have recovered this fumble, and they're going to say it's down. Indiana State football. That's the one thing Indiana State has not done tonight, is cough up the football. And oh man, they say it came very close on that punt return there.
Not sure what the returner was thinking there. You don't never want to back up inside the 10-yard line. Never mind in the end zone.
Yeah.
Trez Morgan.
Yep. So Indiana State will have a 1st and 10 from their own 3-yard line. Of course, you and Kelly on Saturday, you'll be in Macomb at Hanson Field as the Leathernecks will take on Bo Pelini's Youngstown State Penguins. We'll take a break and get forward to that as we have 6:01 remaining in this one. It's Valley Football on ESPN. Sycamores take over on this possession from their own 3 after the fumbled punt return and recovered by ISU. Boyle goes back to pass, incomplete on first down with under 6 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. Let's get an injury report as we head down to the sidelines to Kelly Burke.
Scott, I noticed just before the half that Northern Iowa's starting right guard Nick Ellis was being helped to the locker room and walking very gingerly on his right ankle. He has not been out here for most of the second half, and now he is back on the sideline, but he's not only on crutches, he also has a walking boot on his right foot. So obviously a concern since he's one of their starting offensive linemen and one of the key pieces on that offensive line.
Yeah, Kelly, that's the downside to what has been mostly positives, almost all positives tonight for Coach Farley's Northern Iowa Panthers. Boyle, intercepted, touchdown Northern Iowa. A pick 6 for Duncan Furch.
Looked like this ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage, but nonetheless a dangerous throw. Pays dividends for the Panthers defense. It's a tight throw. You're getting a 4-man rush. That means 7 guys dropping off in zone right there. You see it looked like it got deflected just a bit. Still a tight throw. A nice job by Duncan Furch. Pick 6 to add to this victory. Second interception of the season.
And so with the pick 6 and the extra point, the Cats extend their lead. In fact, that's just the first turnover of the night for Indiana State.
Well, this game started off somewhat promising for the Sycamores. They were battling in the first couple of quarters and forcing the Panthers to field goals and field goal attempts. They just could not sustain any kind of movement offensively, extended drives. And then you couple that with some penalties, and this is where we stand right here. And give a lot of credit to Mark Farley and this Panther team. They started off slow, woke up just a bit, maybe a little hangover effect from playing this past Saturday in a short week. But a phenomenal job on the road.
Well, Dana, you had alluded to it even early on in the broadcast here tonight that Mark Farley's defense has been shutting out teams over the last several quarters. In the last 9 quarters, UNI is outscoring their opponents 91-0 right now. And Caton will down it in the end zone. And when you think about Northern Iowa, of course, 0-2 to start the season before the victory last week against Hampton. Now picking up a conference opening game win on the road. And it doesn't get any easier as North Dakota State, the Bison, will be coming to town to Cedar Falls at the Unidome coming up next week. And it'll be interesting because not only you get a little extra rest, but your team also carrying some momentum with the game here tonight against Indiana State. And what's going to be North Dakota State's response after an emotional game, win or lose, against South Dakota State in the Dakota Marker game coming up this Saturday?
Yeah, you never know how it's going to unfold. Like you said, the extra break. This team has really battled through this short week. Now they get a few extra days rest, and probably their biggest opponent of the season next to the Iowa Hawkeyes that they played just a couple of weeks ago. But it's going to be a special matchup. Jackrabbits versus North Dakota State, the Bison. That's going to be fun.
It is huge. The Bison right now, defending national champions and currently ranked number 1 in the country. And for the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State, they are ranked number 3 in FCS.
Incomplete pass. Third down.
No fumble, incomplete pass. And ironically, Indiana State will be in Brookings to take on South Dakota State a week from Saturday for their second conference game of 2018. And for Coach Mallory, obviously, as they would say, it's back to the chalkboard once again. But I think one of the things is the fact that their offensive line took control of this football game. And now, on top of that, your defensive line hit with the injury bug with 4 different guys going down and leaving tonight's game.
Well, obviously they'll have the benefit of the extended break as well to maybe heal some of those guys up, give them an extra couple of days for that big matchup next week. You just hope that it's not too serious. This team needs to be fully loaded to go against the Jackrabbits.
As Indiana State back to punt once again. Indiana State tonight, they have just 1 third down conversion in tonight's game. Boy, a big hit there on the punt return by Miller. Take a look at the Panthers' schedule coming up after tonight's contest on the road against Indiana State. And as we told you, back at home against the Bison. That will be on ESPN Plus. And then after that, out to South Dakota and then South Dakota State. So that's a run of 3 really treacherous games coming up for Northern Iowa, Dana.
Well, you're right. They're going to have their hands full, but there's never an easy week in Missouri Valley Football Conference play.
So we're getting a review on the last play, and my suspicion is, are we getting helmet-to-helmet contact here on the return, Dan?
That's what I believe. I think you're going to question Clayton Glasgow. It looked like he went in with his shoulder, but you know the head's not too far away from the shoulder. And if he launched into him and there was any kind of helmet-to-helmet contact, he could be ejected from this game and miss the first half of the next game. See right here, he's sizing him up.
It's more shoulder to shoulder to me. Maybe we get a better shot of it from this angle.
Ooh,
he is leaning in with that head and the helmet.
That's the thing, is that we have the luxury of seeing slow motion.
Correct.
These guys are moving full speed, and any kind of adjustment, even though it may look malicious in slow motion, any kind of adjustment by the ball carrier can adjust the would-be tackler's approach, and helmets can touch.
You played the game at the highest level, and I've told people before, sitting down on a sideline during an NFL game, I mean, it's
real.
So fast and so violent. I mean, your eyes are as big as saucers, man. If you've never been down to see something like that before, and you get a chance, you will get a new awakening, that's for sure. I don't know, that's going to be pretty close to targeting as far as I'm concerned.
And I understand the nature of the rule and the letter of the law.
After further review, it's been determined we have a personal foul targeting number 6, Indiana State, at the 15-yard penalty, first down. Number 6 has been disqualified from the rest of the game.
And there goes Clayton Gasco to the head coach Mallory, and he has been ejected from the game for targeting, and he'll head to the ISU locker room. And obviously frustration, but you got to also, think a little bit out there as well.
Yep. You got to know what you can do and what you can't do, what you can get away with. And bad form right there gets him ejected for the rest of this game.
And tack on 15 more yards on the penalty, and so Northern Iowa will start out at the ISU 48-yard line as we're under 4 minutes left in this one from Memorial Stadium in Terre Haute. And we get a new running back in the game for the Northern Iowa Panthers. That is Alfonso Soko on the carry. Jacob Keller now in at quarterback for the Cats.
Some of the young guys some opportunities to be part of this game, and that's refreshing to see. I'm sure a lot of Panther fans and parents love this.
Absolutely. Second down carry, and this one it's handed off to Tyler Hoosman, number 32. So right now, heading into this week of football on the FCS side, you have North Dakota State at number 1, South Dakota State at number 3, Illinois State right now at number 9, and Northern Iowa, as we mentioned, the 21st ranked team in the country. There are a couple of other teams in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, depending on which ranking you see, that are also receiving votes that are maybe on the precipice of maybe getting a part of the top 25 as well.
Not unfamiliar territory for this conference. It seems like a lot of the beating up goes on internally where teams move around just because they lose to other good teams within the Valley Conference. So you'll see a lot of shifting, especially with North Dakota State, South Dakota State. Next week you got South Dakota State and Indiana State, and UNI mixing it up as well.
And I would imagine, Dana, that with the reputation that has been built in the Missouri Valley Football Conference from a national standpoint, that, you know, hey, you get a setback in a game in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, I don't think that kicks you down too far, especially if you're one of the top 25 teams, because, again, I think the reputation is so revered now, I think, among other teams and other schools and people around the country in FCS.
Absolutely.
Timeout, Northern Iowa.
Northern Iowa calls that timeout before they take the 5-yard penalty.
Hey, we're getting a smile on the sideline by Mark Farley. I think I've been doing this conference and the games of the week for what, 12 years now. I'm not sure I've seen a handful of smiles by Mark Farley. That's refreshing to see.
I will second that motion. By the way, Zach Kibbe, who has been handling, we mentioned this earlier, he's been handling the punting chores, and on an emergency basis, the regular punter for Coach Farley has been out with an injury, and even though he's been out there a few times, he's done a nice job for the Panthers here tonight on the road. There's Kibbe.
Yep, there he is, a defensive back, and has the ability to punt the ball, so hey, throw him back out there.
And Indiana State will let this roll, and Northern Iowa will down it at the Indiana State 3-yard line. You think about it also, the Sycamores have had terrible field position as well to add to everything else in the second half, Danon.
Yep, it's been a rough night. I'd say actually a rough second half for Indiana State. They had some issues in the first half as well, but this second half has really been tough.
And a new quarterback in for Indiana State as number 17, Curtis Wilderman, will get a few snaps here before we wind things down at Memorial Stadium. So Northern Iowa will go to a even 2-2 on the season, as will Indiana State. And as we mentioned, getting some extra time off before they take on the Bison next week at the Unidome. But more importantly, I think carrying in a lot of momentum heading into that big game at the Unidome next week.
On the defensive side, it just the fashion that they're able to win these games. The run game, imposing your will defensively, not giving up any points, not giving up any big plays.
And that could be one of our last plays of this fourth quarter. And for Indiana State, they will fall to 2-2 as they lose their conference home opener here tonight against the 21st ranked team in the country. And for Northern Iowa and for Mark Farley, it looks like, Danon Hughes, it will be now 9 quarters of scoreless football for their defense.
Excellent job. The fashion, if you hypnotized Mark Farley and wanted to pick his brain on how he wanted to win games, it would be run game and
excellent defense, and that's what they were able to accomplish this evening.
Impressive performance for the Northern Iowa Panthers, the 21st ranked team in the country, as they come into Indiana State in the conference opener, and they shut out the Sycamores by a final of 33-0 here at Memorial Stadium in Terre Haute, Indiana. So for Dana Hughes, Kelly Burke, and our entire Tupelo Raycom crew, I'm Scott Warman. Thanks so much for joining us. Again, the final score, Northern Iowa over Indiana State, 33-0. You've been watching Valley Football on ESPN.